everybody. So happy that you are here this evening. Yes, it is early. It is 4 p.m. on a Monday. Still kind of the Christmas weekend-ish, I think it is. Some of you are probably not at work yet. Some of you are. If you're not at work, good for you. If you're able to spend more time with your family and friends, I would love that. But I got to work. I got to spend time doing this for sure. Some of you might say, Larry, why in the world would you be doing yet another 4-hour celebrity Larry-thon? This is the second one in like 2 weeks. Yeah. Why? Because this is the end of the quarter. And you might say, Larry, why do you care about that? Here's why. The end of the quarter is when my report comes out. So if I'm not raising money, people say Larry's not real. So I'm out here, trying to give you some cool conversations, some cool talk, some very good ideas and concepts so that you see value and you tell your friends and you do what I'm asking you to like, to comment, and to share. I know I say this every single time. I say it because you know I get shadow banned like there's no tomorrow. The only way I get around it is if you like and comment and share. And this will be fun stuff, so you can share it with your friends if you like. I don't know if you will, but you probably had some conversations during Christmas and you were like, hey, have you heard about this cool Larry Sharp guy? I know you were all doing that. And when you did that, some of your friends said, who's Larry Sharp? Or to heck with that guy, or worse words than that. Either way, they said something. You can share this with those people. And I would say, see, he's a regular human being who talks about stuff and has answers and will talk to other people and do all the cool things that you would like someone who's running for office to do. You can do that if you want to. Now would be a great time to do that. So yes, for those of you who celebrated, Merry Christmas. For those of you who didn't, I hope you had a good weekend that hopefully was long and gave you some time to spend with family and friends, even if you didn't celebrate Christmas. I did. I have a small Christmas tree. We have a dog now. For those who don't know, we have a little dog named Biscuit. Wasn't my plan. I would have got a bigger dog named like, I don't know, King or Duke or something mean like that. But I have two little girls, so we have a little dog named Biscuit. So we had to raise our tree up so he wouldn't attack the packages and such. So we got a smaller tree this year and raised it up so that he wouldn't eat them. He's a little guy. So yes, that's what I'm looking at right now. Doug says I'm not live on YouTube. Is that true? Am I not live on YouTube? I should check my YouTube channel because maybe I am not. I'm going to check right now to see if I am live on YouTube. Hold on. You are saying that I'm not, and maybe I'm not. Let me check right now. Is there a problem with YouTube? Hold on. No, I am. I see myself on YouTube, just over to Larry Sharp. There's a handsome guy on YouTube right now, and he's live. So you can head on over to YouTube if you want to, Larry Sharp YouTube page, and you will find me there live. So thank you for that, Doug. I appreciate the warning, but I am there. So this show is going to have lots of cool people on it. We're going to bring on Maj Toure. He's going to be on today in about maybe 10 minutes or so. We're going to bring on the amazing Bob Burg, a great sales guy, a great life a friend, someone who's very smart and savvy and supports what we're trying to achieve here. The always amazing Chrissie Mayr is going to be here. Funny and nice and awesome. So all good. And we're going to have the always impressive Judge Jim Gray also will be on, the vice presidential candidate for Libertarian Party in 2012 and a personal friend of mine also. So a lot of good stuff will be on. You'll be able to ask them questions. I will take your comments and questions as always. So yes, that will be happening. So for those of you who are saying, Larry, why does all of this matter? Here is why it matters. Because this year, or I should say next year, 2022, is going to be a critical year across the states, right? What's going to happen? Are Republicans going to retake the House? Democrats going to push off all the Trump supporters? Is that going to happen, right? Who knows what's going to happen? But they're all looking at that. And you might go, Larry, that is crazy. That's crazy. Because that's all that matters, right? If you're on the left, you got to fight the Trump people. If you're on the right, you got to top the socialists. That's all that matters. What I would argue is neither of those matter. You might think I'm crazy. But let's say the people who want to get rid of socialism win. The people who want to get rid of Trump win. Great. They won in 2022. What happens in 2024? we play the same game again. The same game again of division and fighting back and forth. Please always remember, Bush got us Obama. Obama got us Trump. Trump got us Biden. What side are you happy with? Either one of them, if you're happy with either of them, you were unhappy half of the time and you were happy half of the time, right? Doesn't matter. That's going to continue if we don't make a change. And I'm saying we have to make a change. But Larry, this election is critical. And this is the, yeah, I've been hearing that for how long? This is the election of our lifetime. This is the most critical one. This is the one always. I can't look for someone outside of the box this year. It's next year when it's okay. So let me ask you, when is the election okay for the outsider guy to come in? When is that okay? If you're part of the establishment, never. Never. And the establishment, of all the people who we can think of who have been winning consistently, every once in a while losing does happen, but consistently winning over time, consistently, it's the establishment. They keep winning. They lose here or there, but they constantly win. And when they lose, it's always temporary. It's like, oh, okay, little loss here, little loss here. And then boom, they sweep it again. Little loss here, sweep it again. We see it again. Every time there's some upstart. It's not permanent. Most of the time, the upstart gets up, tries their best to do something, does a little bit, and then walks away because there's nothing underneath. There's no foundation to keep them growing. I want to change that. Many of you have watched me over the last 5 to 6 years, and you've watched that I've been constantly trying to build up a foundation. It's not just me, right? When I ran, it was just me. Running again, it'll be just me. But outside of that, I always support others outside of me. And I support a team. Even when it's me, I support a team growing, becoming better and stronger. And many of the people who ran in New York State in 2019, and people who run again, people who came from my campaign in some way. Many people now who are doing campaign work outside for other people came off the campaign in 2018. We can do that again and again and again. We can keep doing that. We can build the foundation. This movement, whether you stay in the party or not, I hope you all stay in the party. I hope you all join the party and stay. That'd be awesome. But I'm realistic. Some of you are never going to join. Some of you will join and will leave. I got it. But some of you will join and stay. Whether you join and stay or don't join, still you're going to be able to look at the libertarian movement and go, all right, I'm open. I'll hear it. And sometimes I'll vote. That's the issue. Sometimes you'll vote. Why does that matter? There are many libertarians who think voting doesn't matter. And to a point, they're right in one point, which is, do we have a functioning democracy now? Sadly, we don't. And you might go, wait a minute, Larry, are you saying because of, Trump or because of the social? No, I'm saying because of the system itself. I want you to realize something. Right now, here's how it actually works. The parties pick the voters and gerrymander the districts. So the parties, too, decide what voters they want. That's it. They decide what voters they want. They then go and say, well, okay, we want these voters, draw these lines so that we can have these voters. So the parties pick the voters to ensure they don't have to work very hard to win, which is why so many of the districts are deep red or deep blue, right? One or the other. Deep, many, not all, but many of them are deep red, deep blue, because that's how they gerrymander districts, right? So now I know, okay, this is a red district, blue district. So the parties pick the voters. Doesn't matter if it makes sense. Doesn't matter if it's good for an area. It's just the parties pick the voters. Piece one. Now, after piece one, that parties pick the voters, now parties pick the candidates. They decide who's going to be the candidate. Often without even a primary. Not always, but often. Not even a primary. They just decide, this is the guy, this is the gal. They're our guy, or they're our person. Okay, great. Once they pick the person, it's gerrymandered. So they're going to win. So they're picking leaders. Party bosses are picking your leaders. Your vote is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Why do you think so many people stop voting? Why do you think the youth don't want to vote? because it doesn't matter. And they know it doesn't, because if you're in a gerrymandered district, it is irrelevant who you vote for, because no matter what, red or blue team wins and they pick the person. Here in New York State, the Democratic Party didn't want a primary at all. That's why the Democratic Party backed Hochul before she even said she was going to run, which of course eventually was to scare off Tish James, and it did eventually. It probably was a deal was made. Now she's gone. So no one is going to beat Hochul in that primary. They may all drop out, or they may try to run anyway. Who knows? But either way, Hochul is going to be the nominee in 2022 with the Democratic Party. Done deal. What if you don't like Hochul? What if you're a Democrat in New York State and you don't like Hochul? Too bad. What if you're a Republican or anything else? Too bad. Hochul is your next governor. The Democratic Party has decided it. You don't get a choice. You're a Republican. The Republicans also do not want a primary. Why? They know they can't win, so they're deciding, let's just pick a guy or gal, in their case, a guy in this case. Let's pick a guy and run him because he can't win. We'll raise a bunch of money. We'll lie to New Yorkers and pretend like we can win. And then, boom, now all of a sudden, we got the Republican guy. You don't get a choice in that. And he's not going to win because the state's 2.5 to 1 Democrat to Republican. So, again, you get Hochul. This is our current situation in New York State, and sadly, in most states. Your vote doesn't matter. So why would you vote for it? I have an idea. What if instead there was actually a way to make your vote count? How'd you do that? You can vote Libertarian. Oh, Larry, vote Libertarian. You crazy. No. I'm not crazy. I'm serious. We could vote Libertarian. If we voted Libertarian just one time, all of a sudden now there's a third party. When there's a third party, gerrymandering goes away. Now people start thinking, wait a minute, my vote might matter. Gerrymandering goes away. It's not just red or blue. I yapped away. I will yap away more in a second. Right now, I want to use my magic powers, and I want to summon somebody in here with my magic powers, a man who is a personal friend of mine, a man who is doing everything he possibly can to move both his neighborhood, his city, his state, and the nation forward to the best of his ability. The man himself, Mr. Maj Toure. How are you, sir?
Yo, what's up, Larry? How are you?
I am doing great. I'm glad you are here. The man, the myth, the legend himself from Black Guns Matter. Very happy that you are here today. Tell me something good.
We got the Solutionary Center going in a little bit here in Philly. That's going to be cool. Yeah, man, just work.
I love it.
The drawback of having over 500 homicides in the city is depressing, but it gives us the opportunity to really roll our sleeves up and see if the work that we're doing with Black Guns Matter and promoting the liberty message, if we can really cut that. We gave ourselves a goal of cutting the violent crime rate and or the homicide rate, which is part and parcel. We could cut that by 25% in a year. And so with having such a high homicide rate, we really kind of like up to the challenge. So the location is cool. It's taken a minute for things to be finished and furnished and all of that. So I'm excited for that, and that's good.
I love what you're talking about, because what you're talking about here, most people don't understand, is the second there's crime, the first thing people think of is more cops. It's the first thing, right? Yeah. First thing. Oh my God, there's crap. More cops. That's always the answer. But you don't say that. You say the answer is community. That's what you say.
Yeah. This concept that having more foot soldiers for the state, when there's a bunch of more, it's already controlling and patrolling in our communities. I mean, it's just there. Like not even to be funny or sound like ooh about it, but it's like, yo, that's where the concentration of police already are.
Yes.
In areas where there's lower violent crime, there's more sheriffs, there's more community policing. And when I say community policing, I don't necessarily mean like, yo, call a social worker instead. I mean like, yo, the guy that is the deputy or the sheriffs themselves live in the community, know the community, things of that nature. They know that Steve over there just lost his job, so he's a little frustrated. So if he got into a scuffle with somebody, it's not enough. It's not enough to like take him to jail because they know Steve just lost his job.
Right.
saying those things to say, more police, more state power is never the answer. It's like, and if it was, I would say it. I would be like, nah, man, that one time in like Germany, shit went great. Like that's never like the answer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Right.
So it's just really community policing. And I think a lot of people don't really get the importance of shifting culture, of making people go, yo, we're going to identify, you know, what liberty is, what liberty isn't. Most of the people in our communities, and when I say our communities, I mean, I live in urban America. So most of the people there, once you translate that to them, once you expose them to that, and then you expose them to real crime, because they think they're a criminal because, you know, I was driving to work on a suspended license because I got to go to work. That's not criminal, you know? And so getting people to have that distinction by sharing liberty principles with them and giving them an understanding of property rights, having dialogue, and as well as giving them resources for free of things that they can learn to add to the equity in their life, then you'll start to see some changes. So I'm just, you know, I know I said a whole lot about it in a roundabout way, but I'm super excited to make sure that like it's going to be like impactful.
No, I love what you're saying. I love what you're doing. That's why I asked you to show up. I'm glad you did. Look, the thing that a lot of people in New York are worried about now is crime. That's a big thing. It's across the country, but in New York State, they are worried about it. And they're saying the only answer is more cops. And what I would say is that's not the answer is community.
Right.
The answer is always community, right? That's the issue. The answer is ending the black market, making people, you know, understand what's important in their own world, connecting with people and realizing that the average person doesn't go to crime because they think crime is cool. That's not the average person, right? The average person goes there because they think that's the best answer for them right now. That's why they go there.
And television and society has hijacked hip hop music to make that seem like the thing.
Right.
You know, I got a friend. Some folks might know him. He's a hip hop artist. His name is Leak Moss. His brother is AR Ab. Ab is doing 42. He got sentenced, and to 42 years a while back for cocaine. No homicide. Wasn't on trial for homicide. They used the lyrics from his music in order to like say, yeah, he's a bad dude, and they gave him 42 years. And his brothers like put out a project, and he was like, yo, like this music, who he's also done some state and fed time, but he's like, nah, man, I got to shift the music. Like this isn't how we were living, wasn't really a thing. And at his album release party, we had a conversation, and he said to me, you know, we were talking about the impact that like Scarface, the movie, even though it's like a cultural icon thing, how bad that thing was for our community, right?
Yes.
And he was like, yo, he shared something with me in a way that I had never heard before. He said, you know, Tony was the villain. He said, Tony was like, if you think about it, he did everything grimy to achieve progress. And even down to like killing his best friend because he couldn't talk, couldn't articulate, down to, you know, like the first guy taking, you know, his guy's like lady, like lusting after her, even down to you agreed to kill the guy from the United Nations and you didn't do it, and you wound up killing Sosa's, you know, one of his hitters. My point in saying that, he did every single thing like wrong, and he was breaking that down to me, and I was like, wow. But saying that to say that's something that the culture, or what's been fostered onto the culture to make us think that things like that are the great things, and they're not. And
no, Tony Montana is not a hero
at all.
Not a hero. I agree.
At all.
Not a hero.
And so,
and it's not because he was a drug dealer. It's because he was a bad person.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And he was a bad person.
I get the initial impetus to like, hey man, we just got here from a rough situation and socialism and communism and all that other type of vibe. I get the hunger, but there were people that became wealthy during that same time period, and they didn't murder people unnecessarily.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so
I want to go to the next piece here that you talk about, right? Because that can be confusing what you just said, because you're about Black Guns Matter. Yeah. So people think about guns in the urban area and they go to Scarface, right? That's where their head goes to, right? Their head goes, oh, you like guns and you're in the urban area, you must think everybody should be Scarface, right? That's where their head goes. Yeah. But you're saying something which I love tremendously, and that is the idea that when you start to train anybody, whether they're in the urban area, rural, anywhere. You should train someone on guns. They start to see themselves as more valuable. Yes. Because they start seeing themselves as, oh my God, I have to care about a tool that I have in my hand that is possibly deadly. It is all powerful tool, and I've got to be a better person because I have this power. Yep. And I got to act right. I got to do the right thing. I have to change, and I got to think about myself and my own actions. Am I wrong here?
100% correct. It's like, a few weeks ago, I went to a cheesesteak place in Philly. Most of the people in North Philly go to this cheesesteak place. And I go there often. It's not healthy food. It's a greasy cheesesteak. And there's a bar right next to it. I usually have a drink, have a cheesesteak, watch the games and stuff like that. And they were doing this mandate thing. And the guy behind the counter, he was like, I usually just go in places. If they got a sign, I'll ignore the sign. If they tell me I got to leave, I'll leave. But generally, I just do what I want, right? And so the guy behind the counter, mind you, there's like 3 or 4 people behind the counter. They're chopping up the cheesesteaks. Everybody has their mask like under their chin. And so the guy tells me, yo, you got to put your mask on. And I was like, oh, I don't have a mask. It's not my mask. Like, I don't have one. He's like, yo, they sell them across the street for $2. I'm like, well, look, I already placed the order. Just, I'll get a drink or whatever. And so I'm telling him my order, and he says, yo, you got to stand outside. And if you don't got, I said, bro, all of y'all back there don't have your mask on. It's down here. Like, let's just do the thing. And he's like very argumentative. And then the lady next to him, who also has her joint down on under her chin, she's like, well, forget it then. I'm not going to make him a cheesesteak. All of this yelling. So I looked, and at that moment, I thought about that movie Falling Down with Michael Caine, where in the movie, he's just done. He's just fed up.
This is Michael Douglas, wasn't it?
Michael Douglas, yeah. Michael Douglas.
Right, yeah.
I said Michael Caine, Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, bro, like, it's LA, it's hot. He did everything right. He worked for this chemical company that builds like weapons or something. And he just goes off. And so this dude literally goes on like a killing spree, just trying to get to his daughter. And his wife his ex-wife wants to keep his daughter away from him. And he didn't kill like bad people or good people. He harmed people that were like defending these arbitrary like bullshit rules, right?
Yep.
And then lying about it or just being like corrupt people. But anywho, I thought about that because it's like, mind you, of course, I'm at the cheesesteak place. I'm in North Philly. I got my gun on me. And so all I could think to myself was, and I've thought about this a few times since then, people have no idea. Like, I got a cannon on me. And if I was Michael Douglas and Falling Down, I could see why, my city, and I'm not justifying the murders, but I absolutely see with the attitude of the people in Philadelphia, usually in a lot of big metropolis areas, I completely understand why people start mouthing off and then they provoke someone, not that it's right, but they provoke someone into just murdering them. And I thought to myself, I was like, man, if I was not completely have complete self-control here, these people could in here just die about not making me a cheesesteak. And it's not okay.
And your point's so valid because you look at the person who just purchases an illegal gun. That's the person who does that. But the person who actually gets trained doesn't do that, right? The person who gets trained doesn't shoot the place up. They don't do that because they understand they have a cannon on them. They get that in their mind. They know they're trained on how to deal with this. They understand it. The person who's not trained, that's the person who mouths off. That's the person who draws when they shouldn't be drawn. That's the person who shows it when they shouldn't show it, which makes the other guy draw, right? That's the one who does that.
It's so weird because it's like me with a gun on me, me without a gun on me. One of the main questions that I ask myself in most scenarios where confrontational conflict could arise is 2 things. 1, am I willing to go to jail for this? And 2, am I willing to die about this? Because if you say kill, if you're a guy, guys are like, I'm willing to kill. So I don't say kill. Are you willing to go to jail for this?
Yep.
And are you willing to die about this? Because you could lose, And so these are the things that, to me, you know, that conflict resolution, that training, that just taking a
Yep.
moment thinking. Now, I'm not saying that people should mandate training. I'm saying that if you get a firearm, and if we create, again, back to culture, if we create a culture of, hey man, I bought a firearm, I want to be able to be responsible mentally, spiritually, and just, you know, every situation I want, this is the absolute last resort. If we create a culture of that, then we'll have more young men purchasing a firearm and being on point. We'll have more young men going, nah, man, I'm good. This guy has no idea what I could actually do to him right now. Let me fall back. And even deeper than that, I actually have no idea what this guy has on him.
That's right. Yep.
So I'm going to fall back. And we can cultivate that with a consistent approach. We did most of our classes in 2016 in Philadelphia, right? Before we started traveling. In 2016, the violent crime and the homicide rate in Philadelphia was the lowest it had been since 1979.
Wow.
Every year that we and all we did was just basic gun and conflict resolution, a bunch of classes. Every year that we started traveling the country, every single year, the violent crime and the homicide rate in Philadelphia has increased up till 2021 this year, where it's over 500 and some odd bodies. We may crack 540, 550 homicides. The point in saying that is, now if we switch that, because I believe we had a slither of something to do with that low drop in 2016. Now, if we leave and it goes up, and then we come back and we say, we're going to drop this by 25%, and we concentrate on Philadelphia for a hardcore year, and we get that, now we know we got something that's provable and it's scalable.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know? And then we'll start reaching out to bigger companies saying, listen, man, there's an overall net benefit here. Yep. Give us some money to our nonprofit so we can keep this work going, and we'll keep the work going, and we'll scale it. We'll do it in Chicago. We'll do it in Detroit, New Orleans. Right. Saying this all to say, it all starts with culture, and it really has to be boots on the ground, and that's the part that I really enjoy the most.
Absolutely. Well, Ryan says, I'm not saying it's right, but I understand, Chris Rock. So, yes.
Right.
So, but no, the thing that I think is amazing is you said not only what I could do, but I don't know what the other person could do.
Yeah.
And that's my point about, and I tell people this, you know, with the exception of gang violence, who's being hurt in poor neighborhoods? It's the elderly, right? Because if you just want to take somebody's money, you're going to go after someone who's older, or you're going to go after someone who's maybe a kid with, a mom with young kids. That's it. The mom's going to grab her kids and walk and give you whatever you want. She got her kids. She doesn't care. Whatever you want, she can say, yes, take whatever you want. Just let me have my kids and I'll walk away. That's going to happen. If you're old, you're 80 years old, you can't fight back. You could try, I guess, but you can't. You're 80 and you got two people who are 20 something. You can't fight back. No way. Right. And they know that. But let somebody draw down.
Yeah.
Let that happen once. I don't have to have every 80-year-old man have a gun. I just got to have the right one.
Right.
That's all I got to have. Just one. And then the thug says, wait a minute. Do I want to do that? I'm not sure. Maybe that might be the guy. Let me back off. Yep. It's an equalizer. That's a critical piece. It's an equalizer. And it makes people feel more comfortable in themselves. All these things are so good. And the most important piece I'm bringing up right now is you and I spent, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes now talking about guns. And not once did we bring up the Second Amendment.
Nope.
Not once. Now, why do I say that? Because there are so many people who care about the Second Amendment tremendously, and they do. They should. But they talk about the Second Amendment. And sadly, you and I know most Americans, this is sad but true, don't care about the Second Amendment.
I think that when
they care about their community.
I think they care about their community. I think when it's explained to them in a manner of why it's important from a perspective of, hey, this is one of those things that government can't give you, government can't take away. They may try, but when you translate that to them, then they start caring about it in relation to community, in relation to their own individual ability to, their natural and human rights. I think that for a long time what was missing in regards to urban America getting on board, because most of our classes being beginners, they're like, yeah, we feel estranged and detached what do you mean the Constitution? That wasn't written for me. You know,
right.
Our job was to translate that in a manner like, yo, maybe even if it hasn't historically been applied the same way in a lot of cases, there's a way that you can make them hold firm individually and collectively when you're informed about it, make them adhere to the contract.
Yes.
Make them adhere to it. Because like, it's like if somebody says, you know, okay, cool. Well, when they wrote that, they weren't talking about you. Okay, maybe you could say that, but this is what it actually says. Maybe they implied it a different way and interpreted it. Now, if you want to tell me that I'm 3/5 of a human and I'm a denizen, not a citizen, cool. Then this tax revenue, then I'm not responsible for that because I'm not even down with this.
Right.
When you make people have to say it, and when you empower people and become a force multiplier to get people to know that and utilize it. It's like Malcolm X was great at utilizing language and the dictionary and the thesaurus back against, you know, people that would want to treat African Americans lesser than. So in essence, when you showcase the people, most Americans, that and how it's to their benefit for their individual and their family and their community's collective benefit, then you start getting them to care about it. I think that the reason why they don't care about it per se is because they just don't know how to use it. It's like, do I really care about the Pythagorean theorem? Nah, not really. But now if I was doing something where it was like critically important, I would be like, oh man, it's so great that I know the Pythagorean theorem. And I think that's the disconnect.
And that's my point that I'm saying you bring. You don't start from the Second Amendment, but you get people there. Yeah. And that's my point. Too many people start at the Second Amendment. I'm saying start where the person is and they'll get there. Like they will get to the Second Amendment if you just start in the right spot. Then they'll go, oh, that's why you people care about the Second Amendment. I care too about it now. Before they didn't. I love you don't just go Second Amendment. You start here, and then before you know it, you got people wearing 2A shirts.
Yep. It's like a weird, like you know, there's a lot of go back to culture, right? And the culture and hip hop culture for a very long time, they made us glorify like diamonds, right? And when you know anything about diamonds and coal, like diamonds, like fully clear diamonds are like the weakest version of the coal, right? It can't do anything. It's been pressurized. Now, when they clean it up, the stone looks cool. And then there's groups like the De Beers. They'll go into places that are diamond rich and they'll hoard all of the diamonds, put them under lockdown and only put a certain supply out there to like make the value of diamonds seem like it's more important. My point in that is I need people to be able to not just have a shiny thing, but I understand that currently they may be trapped by the shiny thing. So I'll show them a diamond. I just want to get you back to coal. You can warm your house with coal. You can move a ship with coal. You can do a bunch of stuff with coal. But initially, the conditioning or that matrix has told you coal is worthless. It's dirty. It's whatever, whatever. And if I got to show you the diamonds first, cool. I'll show you your personal selfish, and it's not in a negative way.
Yep.
This is why this is important for you. Then your human right to keep and bear arms is important because you may live in a rough neighborhood, and who is the government that's not there to tell you that you don't have the human right to defend yourself? And actually, it's codified in the supreme law of the land, the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, that you do actually have the human and natural right to defend your life. We're not just cool with the killers because we live there. They're the killers. They're the bad guys. We not like, it's like, no. And so by giving people the thing that is their self-interest, regardless of how they are, where they are, by giving them that self-interest first, like you said, we can roll them back into making that a holistic approach. And now we get another soldier on our side for not just the Constitution per se, but just for the concepts that embody that constitutional Bill of Rights.
So I bring this up also because I was just talking about third parties. You probably might have heard it when you came up. I was talking about third parties. In theory, the Republican Party supports the Second Amendment, but not in practice. Yeah. They don't. Democratic Party, at least I'll give them this. Democratic Party, at least openly, at least they're honest about it. They got Beto saying, coming to get your guns. So at least the Democrats in this case are honest. They hate Second Amendment, hate the guns. And in my state, New York State, the Second Amendment is the second suggestion. That's not an amendment. That's a suggestion. So most people won't talk about it. And then I get Republicans who get mad at me and go, well, I can't support you guys because I support the Second Amendment. I need a party to support the Second Amendment. This is me. I'm going to show a quick video. This is me in 2018 at the official debate that I was in. Okay. And I was the only person who said the following.
To Mr. Sharp.
On guns, under red flag laws in places in other states, family members would bring individuals that they think are mentally unfit to the attention of law enforcement. And then after due process, a judge would either temporarily or permanently take their weapons away. Do you support any version of a so-called red flag law?
Yeah, there is no requirement at all for a red flag law. And the reason why I say it is, you're saying red flag laws now, what they actually do is they force the teachers and or medical personnel to become part of a secret state police, where they are required to report on people. When that happens, you have people like veterans particularly who go, I don't want to go get help because I'm gonna lose my firearms. You have people who have car accidents and all of a sudden they walk into a room and someone says, how do you feel? They go, oh, I feel so terrible, I want to kill myself. Boom, suicidal, they lose their firearms. You don't have to have a law to tell the cops you think someone in your family is going to hurt themselves or is crazy or whatever you think your family member is. Just tell them. We should encourage that. But once we have a law, we are creating a secret state police. It is hurting my veterans. I have veterans now who will go to their friends and say, here, take my firearms, I don't want to tell anybody else. And what they're saying to the other veteran is, I just put that firearm in my mouth last night and I didn't pull the trigger. That's what we're creating now. No, there's no need for red flag law.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp.
Use the bully pulpit. If you have a problem, tell your family and friends.
No clapping, please.
Yes.
They literally had to stop the people from clapping. Yes, that's correct. Yes. Yes. Now I'm on record. This is 4 years ago. I'm on record saying that I am against red flag laws. But if you heard what I said, I didn't use the Second Amendment. I didn't use the Constitution. What I said was, you're creating a secret state police, forcing people to do things when instead we should be encouraged. This is your culture idea. We should be encouraging people that if someone's in trouble, say something, right? If I think that Maj is ready to shoot somebody, I should say something, right? If I think I should say, Maj, should we be talking? Should I be calling somebody else? What's going on? I think you're going to do something that you're going to be unhappy about. I think it's not worth going to jail over this. And we should have that kind of conversation. And if we change our culture, and I don't just mean in urban area, I mean everywhere. You were talking about, your guy Steve who lost his job. Steve, we should have a culture of that too. Is Steve about to do something stupid? Well, then maybe somebody should call the cops and the sheriff should walk over there and say, Steve, you gonna be okay?
I think there's so many layers before it even gets to calling. I mean, obviously, if we know that Steve, unless you're right there and you're like, yo, Steve might be in the next room about to shoot himself, right? If you're there, cool. However, there's so many ways of you intervening, and when you recognize and are reaching out to people and communicating and asking them what's going on. I give a perfect example. I was leaving my place and I saw this guy. You know how you walk in one way and the other guys, we're in the hallway, and it was like last summer. I was coming from outside early in the morning and I said, hey man, how are you? And he said, not good. And I stopped and I said, hey man, let's talk. I didn't even know who this person was. Usually people do the robot thing. They'll say, yes. They don't even answer the question. You say, hey, how are you doing? They say, how are you? They just ask you the same question and you walk past. But the fact that he wasn't a robot and said, I'm not doing too good, I can't just let that shit go by me. So I'm like, what's going on? He's like, man, I'm stressed. And the building at the time, the pools are supposed to be open in the morning, but the maintenance guys didn't open the pool. And he's like, I usually get, how I de-stress is, I get a good swim in the morning before I go into work. I got a lot going. And I talked to the guy for 2 or 3 minutes. And afterwards I said, man, and I gave him some good vibes. He was like, yo, man, yo, thank you. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? Now, had I not, we all know the story of Spider-Man. Spider-Man's at the wrestling thing. He wins some money. The guy runs past him, and the guy's like, stop that guy. And Peter Parker's like, it's not my problem. and that guy
Yep.
winds up killing his uncle.
Yep.
Right? How horrible would I have felt if that dude winds up like shooting himself in the building, shooting somebody else in the parking lot, whatever. My point
Yep.
is, there is a general way that we can legitimately care for each other. If we know that it's the anniversary of, you know, one of our friends or family members, and it's the anniversary of a death of their loved one, we
Yep.
can call and chop it up with them, not even talking about that. We can go like, yo, man, let's go play basketball. Yo, man, let's go for a cigar, to get their mind off of that during that time, because we know that this is historically a rough time for them.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like you said, culture. We have to create a culture where we care and have empathy for individuals and for the people close to us, and then let that continue to spread out.
So let me step in for 1 second. If anyone here is watching this right now, I would ask you, has any Democrat, has any Republican, has any candidate ever had this kind of conversation in front of you ever? And what I would tell you is never. And you don't have to answer. I already know. The answer is never. All they do is go, other guy bad, let's pass my laws. Their laws are bad, my laws are good. So we'll pass my laws, get rid of their laws, and everything will be awesome. No one's saying, how about we change the culture? People who know me know the same thing. I'm calling people. I'm calling tons of people from my lists, people who supported me before, friends in the past, asking them to support me, asking them for money, asking them for advice, asking them. I'm on the phone every day doing that. Yeah. And sometimes people say, Larry, I can't even talk to you because bad stuff's happening. You know what I do? I keep talking to them.
Yep.
And there are people who are on the phone with me who were listening, like, are you okay? Everything's all right? Yeah, good. All right, good. They can't believe I spend so much time on the phone. Like, no, you just got to ask them for money and get off the phone. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm doing here. That's not what I'm doing here. Right. If I want that, I'll hire people to do that. I don't need to be doing that. I can hire, just call and ask for money. If they say no, hang up. If they say yes, take the money. That's not what I'm doing. Right. Because I'm trying to build that same culture in this movement. Our movement has to have that culture. And sadly, people think our movement's the opposite. Right. They think our movement is the opposite. They think our movement is about selfishness. No, our movement is about self-reliance so we can help those we love. It's a whole different way of looking at this movement. And I'm so glad you're saying it because you're right. And that's what I was saying too. Thank you so much for saying it. I appreciate it.
It's the dangerous thing is third party or libertarian party or libertarianism is actually, and this is going to sound like biased, but it actually could like save America. Like it actually is something that's very seductive. It's very practical. It's very common sense, right? The thing is, the reason why the duopoly likes to try to make it hidden or ignore it to as much as it can, one, because again, we need more soldiers like yourself and me in these demographics preaching that gospel, for lack of a better phrasing, right?
Yep.
The other reason for that is because urban America is ripe for this. That like, there's no like when I say, you know, when people get mad because, you know, I have Republican friends, Democrat friends, and it's like when I'm critical of the Trump administration, yo, man, you know, Don Jr. follows you. Yeah, I gotta like that's not. He didn't give me $100 million. He's not like my boss, you know. And so it becomes these things where it's like we have to be. If we say we're American first, okay, cool. If you go with that title, then you said American first. You didn't say a particular party, especially one of the two or the duopoly first.
Right.
Now, if you really want to say Republican first or Democrat first or whatever first, cool, but be honest about that.
Right.
I think what happens is when we see the same things that everyone made fun of Trump if they were on the left, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent, whether he was being taken out of context or not, which he was a lot, but then we go and do the same thing when Biden, obviously Biden's a whole nother level of mess, no doubt. However, you're doing the same thing. Everything is anti-Biden, just like everything was anti-Trump. I've heard people that were getting mad at people for saying not my president when Trump was in.
Right.
I've heard him say the same exact phrase. He ain't my president. Yes, he is.
Yep.
However he got in the seat, act blue, funneling money to the Democratic Party through BLM. However he did it, and however those wizards did it, they did it. However they made everybody pretend like there was no election fraud, election integrity isn't a thing. Man, America's involved. And I say we as a nation, or this government has involved ourselves in other nations' elections for since the 50s? Like maybe even before that. My point in saying that is, now that both sides have seen, wait a minute, we're all doing the same thing. It's right for somebody like you to come and say, yo, maybe it's time for you to look into a third party. Hey, here's the libertarian ideology. Maybe you want to rock with it. When you translate that, much like the Second Amendment, when you translate that to not even necessarily a party initially, do we want people to go? Do I specifically want people to go libertarian and or independent if you don't want to name a party? Yes, I do, because the duopoly is like horrible, and it wasn't. This place wasn't even intended for a two-party system in that regard.
Right.
My point in saying that is, urban America, more specifically, is right for that. One, because it's the largest demographic of like bodies, like New York, 8 million people in one damn city, Philadelphia, Chicago, all these big demographics. Just like the Second Amendment, when you have people like yourself, for me, that can translate it from here's why this is good for you.
Right.
And throw this up against what you've seen the red dudes and the blue dudes do, and how has that impacted your community positively? You're almost like stupid if you can like legitimately go, yeah, their options have been better. In the hood, we know it. Regardless of what the leader is, hoods generally look the same until they get gentrified, which is really privatized money coming in and saying, hey, state government, give me a break and we'll generate some new businesses in your area. You know, that's when the councilmanic privilege and the kickbacks kick in, and then miraculously cities start to look brighter and cleaner and more business and all of that. I am of the belief that we can translate to people how we, as followers of the free market and liberty and limited government, we can do the same thing without it having to be just billionaire developers.
Right.
We can do the same thing, and so translating that liberty concept and why this is impactful for the people and individual rights, translating that the same way that I would translate the Second Amendment is just by translating it to them in a manner why this is better. Put it on your own scale and weigh it against the guy that you or woman or whatever that you voted for. And do you feel happy? The current Biden administration has been so bad. Like so bad.
I'm actually surprised. I didn't think it'd be this bad. I really didn't. I didn't think he'd be good, but I didn't think he'd be this bad. I'm actually surprised on how bad he is. I thought he was Mr. Empathy. I thought he was Mr. I'ma hug you and love you. I thought he was going to be a whole lot more rainbows and puppies. And there's like no rainbows and puppies, like none.
None. No kittens, no unicorns, anything.
Nothing. I'm surprised how bad he is.
He's so bad that they throwing us a layup. They throwing us an alley-oop. Because even if you can get a hardcore, and I use these terms because people understand it, but it's not to diminish anyone. If you can get a hardcore leftist to say to you, and that's all due to your approach too, to say, yeah, man, I shouldn't have voted for dude. They like never say that. I'm hearing people say this to me regularly. Like,
yes,
come on, bro. Like, what? Even the mandates, the this, the that, the level of sheer arrogance. And he was arrogant when he was saying, a lot of those guys haven't seen tape of him in Congress from the 90s when he was super aggressive, right?
Yep.
But he said it when he was running. He was like, yo, if you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. This, that, and the third. Like, the level of arrogance is beyond.
I'm just curious, Maj, did you get in the mail what race you are now? Did you get it?
No,
I didn't get mine.
They didn't tell me yet.
They didn't tell me. So I always say,
I'm gonna and look, but they said I don't know how to use the internet either. So I can't.
That's right. Yes. So I always say, if I get to pick, I'm gonna go Filipino. That's what I want. If I get to pick my race now, I'm gonna pick Filipino. I like Filipino people. I'm gonna pick that. Look, I don't know which one you're gonna pick.
I'm going Thailand because I want to go over to where those big mountains coming out the water are.
See, there we go. Exactly. That's what we're picking. Okay, good.
It's an amazing mind warp when you think about it. But again, looking at that glass as half full, I go and watching all of the people that are like, I mean, I do so much outreach at gas stations when people is filling their joint up and they like, and I'm like, yeah, man, that's why I'm libertarian. And they go, what's that? Got you. Yeah. Because you feel it. You feel it. It's not right. We're talking about supply chain issues, mind you. And again, I believe both of those, red and blue are very war hawkish. I'm gonna be very clear about
100%. Yep.
However,
very true. Yep.
They said that Trump was gonna have us in World War III. And it's like, didn't Main Man like? And I know some weapons were being sold in North Korea while he was over there, but at least he made the semblance of, let me go holler at North Korea and let me do, which is things that, and let me try to put these guys together. Those are things that whether it's negotiation skill or whatever. And there are other candidates that I believe that would have been better at that. Don't get me wrong. Sure. I can line up a ton of libertarian candidates that I think could have handled that, could have done similar things. But my point in saying that is they told us that one guy was going to be the end of the world and this guy was going to be the savior. And how it's looking right now, it's looking like the actual opposite and how they presented it to us. And so this is an excellent opportunity for us to translate to all of our friends, loved ones, and present, hey, this is libertarianism. This is why this is important. Here, if you're a part of this ideology, some of these issues that we're even struggling with wouldn't even be issues to even fight with in the beginning. And by translating that and riding the coattails of how horrible this administration is. I mean, even Psaki, like she's arrogant. It's just bad. And so this is a great opportunity.
I agree. So with that opportunity in mind, why don't you tell people who are watching how they can figure out what you're doing? How do they get a hold of you? What do they got to do to get a hold of you?
They can email us. Please join our email list. I had my second Instagram page. My backup guy, Instagram took it down. I was telling too much. There you go, telling the truth again. So we went from like 100,000 Instagram followers to rebuilding the page to 44,000. Now I'm at like 650. Period. You know what I mean? So I'm on Instagram, Big Daddy Toure. That's my new Instagram page. Twitter, Maj Toure. Official Black Guns Matter on Instagram for the Black Guns Matter page. And just email us, man. Get on the email list, solutionarylifestyle@gmail.com. We cracked we cracked over $500,000 raised and given away last night of our $1 million goal. Our goal for 2022 is it took us about 3 years to, raise that, but now we're better at fundraising and stuff like that. So we want to get the remainder of that $500,000 in 2022. If you want to see about our work, follow us there, email me, Twitter, Black Guns Matter, all that other good stuff. The donation link is gofundme.com/Black Guns Matter. And just even outside of that, that's all of the, how you can contact us, email and stuff, but email me too if you're just going through something, man. Like if you, especially if you're a gun owner, not limited to, but if you're a gun owner, you more than likely have an effective tool around. Suicides are up, over the last year and a half, 2 years. You have an effective tool to make the pain stop. And I'm here to tell you that I'd rather like you send me your phone number and we shoot the shit and talk about like LeBron's latest post on Instagram or whatever. I'd rather talk to you about that. And deal with and help, chop it up with you about what's going on in your life, then read your obituary, So
yes.
If you're going through some stuff, man, we have some private, Walk the Talk America is very discreet. We got resources that we can help you out. And if you just want to talk about shit, man, just hit me up. Email me solutionarylifestyle@gmail.com. And if you missed any of the things that I said right now, just email us. And if you email us, you're going to be put on the newsletter anyway or the email list. So that's how everybody can contact us.
Excellent. I love it. Maj, I want to say thank you so much for coming. I appreciate your support as always. I'm going to hope that I can make some real impact. And you're always part of my my brain trust. So thank you.
No doubt. Thank you, Larry. I'll talk to you in a bit.
All righty. Have a good one. So guys, thank you so much for that. I hope that was interesting for you to understand what Maj is trying to achieve, how we're dealing with issues of libertarianism. If you like that stuff and you want that kind of stuff to not just happen in New York State, but to happen all over the place, then give. I'm asking you, head to LarrySharp.com/Larry-thon and give whatever you can give. Here's what I'm looking to do. Last time, some of you might remember in the last Larry-thon, celebrity Larry-thon, by the way, the last Larry-thon, we tried to raise $20,000. In the last probably 10 minutes of the 4 hours, someone gave a pledge of 5 figures. It was awesome. And that basically, boom, popped us over. We made our number. I was trying to get 10 people to give $1,000 and 100. I'm sorry. Yeah. 10 people to give $1,000 and 100 people to give $100. And that was going to make 20 grand. But I raised about 10 grand without that person doing it. So now I'm only asking for 10 more. So I'm asking for is 10 more. That'll make the actual 20 without the person who gave me the check. So we can still do it. So now I'm looking for 5 people. I'm gone to half. Look how good I am. I'm asking 5 people to go $1,000 and 50 people to go 100. If you can. If you can do it, so if you can give less, that also works. Everything moves towards that goal. We are looking at, and you know what I'm talking about already, we're looking at doing polling. We've already done some polling. Yes, we have. And we're going to do more. The more polling we do, the more we know what New York is looking for, the more we know what issues to work on, what issues to avoid as we're talking about them. We know what our odds are, what our chances are of victory and coming in first or second or third. All those things happen with good polling, multiple polling, obviously, as you know, one poll you probably can't trust. Multiple polling and ads. Ads. It's how I'm going to get past the shadow ban. It's how I'm going to get past all the things. So if you can, it is very helpful. Please, if you can give, if you can be one of those people who are going to do $1,000, that's awesome. Please do that. Larry, why in the hell would I want to give you $1,000? That is a great question. People give more than that if they have it. If you're in a position where you can give $1,000, if that's what, and I hope you are all doing so well that you can do that. That'd be amazing. I hope you all are. If you are, you're taking that $1,000 and you're investing in a movement that is going to help New York and help the rest of the nation. Do I honestly believe that I'm the guy who's going to save the world? No, I don't. Do I believe I'm the guy who could be part of the setup to have the world saved? Yes, I do. And if that means I'm full of it or I have hubris, okay, that's what I believe. I think I can be part of the setup to have our world saved. I do believe that. Maj was talking about it. He said libertarianism can save the country, save the world. He's right. And the reason why he's right is it doesn't force you to convert. You can be liberal, you can be conservative. What are we doing? We're letting you be you. Sounds crazy, I know, but that's the reality. We're letting you be you. You can be conservative, you can be liberal. Just let others be conservative and liberal. Leave them alone. And we can be the ones that allow you to voluntarily change your community to be as good as you want it to be. That's the issue. Libertarianism does that. We can do that. We can be part of that. Why New York? Why in the world will we do New York? Because New York is the real battleground state. I told you earlier, I was saying, oh, people are worried about whether my guy is going to win next in 2022, or a Republican's going to win, a Democrat's going to win, are they going to hold the House or whatever? Oh, I don't really care, to be full with you. I mean, you might go, oh, but Larry, these guys are worse than the other guys. Maybe, but then 4 years, I'm fighting the same way again, aren't I? If Republicans win in 2022, then Democrats take it in 2024? Is that what happens? Or we wait 4 years, take it in 2026. Okay. Or if Democrats pull it off somehow in 2022, Republicans can take it in 2024. So it's just the back and forth. Nobody's winning except the establishment. Third party has to be the way. And New York State is ground zero. Why? Because as New York State goes, the rest of the nation goes. Larry, you think New York's that special? Yes. Why? Because New York City is the largest city in the country. That's the reason. New York City, and by far, Philly's a big city, but Philly's got about 2 million, 3 million people, give or take. I think it's about 2 million people, if I remember correctly. About 2 million people. That's a lot of people. New York has 4 times that. LA, second biggest city, 3.5 million people. New York has twice that. So yeah, either way, Boston, 2 million, give or take. I think Chicago's like 3 million, something like that. We dominate all of them. That's why. That is why. Even though the other cities are large, they're not as large as us. We are the biggest city by far in the nation. That makes our state important just for that. But something else. New York State is also one of the most diverse. The most diverse county in the country. My county, Queens. Most diverse in the country. Yes, my county, Queens, where I live. And not just that. Our state, hugely diverse. The same problems the rest of the country has. Urban versus rural. We have the same problems. What happens in New York affects the country. Support this race, move forward. But more important, Larry, why would I give you $1,000? Okay. If you got it, obviously. If that's going to hurt you, please don't do it. I want you to bleed a little bit. I don't want you to bleed out. But if you got the money and you could do it, yes. Why? Because you know I'll still be here. How do you know that? Because I'm still here. In 2016, I said I had a 10-year plan. Some people remember that plan, that conversation I had. I had a 10-year plan. It's only 5 years in. I got 5 more years. The more you can put into this plan, the faster it'll work, the best chance it'll work. That's the plan. 10-year plan. I'm serious. You know I am. So let me grab a couple of comments. Let you guys give me some good comments. Thank you, chat, for caring. I appreciate this tremendously. Whatever you can do. So Brian says, hope you had a fantastic holiday season. I had a good Christmas. I took a couple of days off. I did. I took a couple of days off. It was nice. Yes. So, all right. So I can keep going here. Sam's excited for Larry-thon 2.0. Thank you. Yes, I got Bob Burg coming on in about 15 minutes. I also got Chrissie Mayr coming on, and I got Judge Jim Gray. So I got more coming on. Absolutely. Yes, indeed. We got more and more coming up. So Craig says, yes, Larry, you launched me. Thank you. Every person that I could get going is awesome because Craig is, by the way, Craig's running in his county. So you can go check out his county, what Craig's doing. Click on him and see what he's doing. He's running too. He's trying to make, hold on, see if I get his phrase right. Going to make his company, his county, the freest county in New York State. Did he get right, Craig? So check him out. He's trying to make that happen. I appreciate it. Yes. All right, let's see here. Adam says, just got my Libertarian Party member card in the mail today. We are rocking and rolling, guys. This is important. I love this. This is important. Thomas says, what happens in New York spreads everywhere. Yes, that's why Larry Sharpe needs to be like the governor of New York. It'll make the world a happier place. Let me touch that. Again, you might say to yourself, Larry, why do I care about New York? You know, first off, what are the odds of you winning governorship? And if you win the governorship, so what? I live in West Virginia. I live in Colorado. I live in wherever. Okay. 2 things. 1, think about this for a moment. If I actually win this thing, we get the right polling, the right amount of money, the right ads, everything comes together. I get the right party lines that I want. And all of a sudden now I win. It will change the entire nation overnight. That's not an exaggeration. Just imagine all of a sudden as a libertarian governor of New York State, it rocks the entire country. People will see our movement as real. People will become more libertarian. They will, because half of the people will just start attacking me. They won't know what to do. And that will just make me stronger because the more you attack me, the more I'm known, the more people see what I'm talking about, the more people know our movement, more people come to us to defend me. All those things work. So all that growth underneath me in New York State will create multiple victories in New York State and a big infrastructure that will cross the entire state. And now you're running in West Virginia or Colorado or wherever. You're like, wow, how do I win? Just call my people up. If I win the governorship, they know how, and they will show you. Here's how you win. Here's the people we'll use to help you to win. Here's the advice we can give you, what we learned. That's what you get. That's why it matters. Say I don't win. I don't win. I come in second. New York State law, for those who don't know, New York State law says that the top 2 parties are the ones who run the board of elections. So if libertarians are number 2, change all the rules. Now third parties become real. I come in second, third parties become real. They become valid across the country, in New York State permanently and valid across the country. There literally is now no reason, at least publicly, to be so aggressive against libertarians getting on the ballot. Now, some states will still be aggressive anyway because they are. I get it. But now you got people who can back you up going, no, look at New York. Now you got lawyers who want to take your case. Now you got people who will raise money to make it happen because it becomes viable. It does matter. It affects your state, all the states. It affects everything. Absolutely, yes. It does matter tremendously. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yes. All right. So if I can keep doing this here. Liberty or Death says neither party wants a primary. Why spend the money on it? They know who they want. Why give you the power to pick? Right? Why give you the power to pick? I'm serious. That's how they think. Why? I was speaking to someone earlier today about this. I was doing more phone work today. And one of the people I was talking to, I told him, I said, I'm surprised how many people I meet who are either running for office or elected officials who actively hate their constituents. They don't like them at all. Like, they're your representative and they don't like you at all. They just don't like you. And why would they? You're in the way. You want stuff. You want to be heard and stuff like that. They have money to make and donors to please. You're in the way, you silly voters and constituents. That's how they feel. Now, they shouldn't feel that. But the system is set up for us to just be in the way. So we are. When you don't have a functioning democracy, the people who are voting for you just get in the way. So that's when neither party wants a primary, because we're in the way. We don't get power to do that. Of course not. Yes. So Ryan says, like, comment, share, donate. Please do all those things. Like, comment, share, critically important, but donation too. It does matter. If this is valuable, if you think what Maj and I talked about was valuable, and you would like more and more people to hear that conversation, if you'd like more and more people to take people like me and Maj seriously, if you like that, and maybe you don't, I don't know why you're watching if you don't, but assuming you're watching, so you do, if that matters to you, donate. You might say, Larry, why are you bugging us for cash again? Why are you doing that? End of the quarter. My report comes out in a couple of weeks. People are going to judge me by whether or not I raised money. Larry, that's not fair. You're right. It's not fair. And it's true. You're right. It's not fair. And it's true. Larry, shouldn't they judge you by the value of your ideas? They sure should. Yes. And they don't. They should. You're totally right. They should. I wish they would. I'm the only guy with ideas. No one else who's running has ideas. And if you think I'm making that up, check their websites. Ask them. They have no ideas. I have tons of them. So yes, they should care about my ideas. They don't. They don't. So yes. The MW Knox says Maj for governor. F. Tom Wolf. Hey, if Maj was running for governor, awesome. I hope he wins. I would help him out. I help him raise money. Absolutely. I hope he does. That would be amazing. Yes, absolutely. Joe says that's the way it should be, community policing. I cannot tell you how important community is. I can't stress that enough. If you remember when I had my plan for shifting the police, for reforming the police, I had to change it because I was biased by being in big city and big city policing. I was biased by that. And so people who are more in rural areas actually reached out to me and said, Larry, that's not how it works in rural areas. And I had to adjust and shift my plan for rural policing. It's different. Community policing is different. Now, community policing can also work in cities, but I'll go back to what we're talking about. This movement, this libertarian movement, isn't actually about community policing or I mean, it is, but it's not about that. What it's actually about at its core is happiness. This is about happiness. That's the critical piece. People don't get that. A lot of people believe the liberty movement is about freedom and liberty. It is, but that's a means to an end. The end is happiness, which means, as Maj was saying earlier, the way that we could take over the world or fix the world or whatever the case may be is not just in policy or politics. It's in letting people be people, because some people in certain times don't want to be free. Some want to be free. Let's let everybody be who they want to be. They can be happy. Happy people don't commit crimes. Happy people, keep their families together. Happy people start businesses. Happy people grow careers, all those things. And I am very lucky that I have with me someone who I'm going to use my magic powers and summon in. I have someone with me who understands that idea, that it isn't just about being successful. It is, but not just that. It isn't about winning an election. It is, but not just that. It's about us finding happiness with ourselves, with our families, with our communities. And more importantly, happiness is not just making money or being successful. Happiness is having positive relationships with those people around you. And I'm bringing, if I can, a friend of mine, someone who I adore, who I'm so happy he gave me a few minutes of his time, an author, a brilliant person, the man himself, Bob Burg. Bob, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm great, Larry. Thank you for that kind introduction.
No, of course. No, I meant every word of it. I'm so happy that you are giving me a few minutes of your time. How have you been?
Been great, thanks. How about yourself?
I am crazy busy, but I signed up for it, so it's fine.
I know.
It's fine. Absolutely. But what I love about what you stand for, Bob, is the idea of relationships being so critical, not just those around you, but even with yourself.
Oh, sure. Well, I just heard the last few minutes of what you were talking about, happiness. And when you think about it, that is the end. Everything else is the means to that end. As libertarians, we believe in liberty because we believe that is the surest route to happiness, not just for us, but for everyone who,
right,
who chooses to be happy. As when we define liberty, it's really nothing more than the right of everyone to live their lives and pursue happiness, however, and in whatever way they see fit, providing, of course, that they don't infringe upon anyone else's right to do the same. Okay.
Well, the funny thing that I bring up about this is some people, they want to be with others. Most people do, but they want to be socialistic in their own way. And I don't mind that. Like, people say, well, socialism is bad. Yes, the government concept that has destroyed millions. Yes, that concept is bad. But the idea of locally people deciding to create communes or community policing or civic groups or church groups or whatever they like, that's voluntary. That's wonderful.
Well,
beautiful.
That's the key.
That's the key piece.
That's the key piece. It's voluntary. If a group of people want to get together, I mean, you look at the Free State Project, okay, in New Hampshire, but let's say a bunch of people weren't liberty oriented, but a bunch of people wanted to get together in some other state and buy a whole huge plot of land and get together and pool all their money and elect some people to represent all the people, right? And in other words, set up a communistic or socialistic society. I have no issue with that if they're doing it of their own free will and not forcing anyone else to join them who doesn't want to.
Absolutely. And I think
if that's
the issue.
how they believe they'll find happiness.
Yes.
That's fine. Now, I don't believe that they will find happiness when it comes right down to it, because socialism is socialism and communism is communism, and they all, have their specific ends. But if that's what they want to do, Harry Brown, I thought, said it best. He said, everyone seeks happiness. Now, Harry, who was a great libertarian and just a fantastic human being, and he'll be the first to say that very rarely would he say everybody. Right? Libertarians usually don't speak in terms of everybody, right? Because we're individuals. And as he said, yeah, of course, we're all individuals. Yet as part of human nature, everyone seeks happiness. Now, how would we define happiness? Well, Harry defined happiness according to the dictionary, and that is the mental feeling of well-being. Okay. So with that as the definition, as the premise, so to speak, okay, everyone seeks happiness. Everyone seeks that mental feeling of well-being. You don't do anything consciously or unconsciously without that in mind, that being the goal. But number two, the second part of that is that happiness is relative, right? So we all understand happiness differently. So we all place different values, as Harry says, on different things. So what would make one person happy would make someone else miserable. Or
Sure.
okay. Now, the third part of that, so the first, everyone seeks happiness. Happiness is relative. Third part is resources are limited. Now, that's not to be confused with it's not to be confused with the lack of prosperity thinking. Not at all. We live in a very abundant universe, planet, what have you. It's not that. But individually, we all have a limited number of years in our lives, and
Sure.
months in a year, weeks in a month, days in a week, right? And so forth. We all have a limited amount of time, a limited amount of energy, a limited amount of knowledge, a limited amount of wisdom, what have you. Now, so we're constantly, as human beings, making trade-offs between things, right? And what he said, and I just thought this was so brilliant, was that everything a person chooses to do, and this might be consciously or unconsciously, it's because they believe it will bring them closer to happiness based on how they understand happiness and based on the limited choices they believe they have.
Right,
Okay?
right.
And you can, and I, I would say just find a way to to prove that wrong. And I try to, because of course I always want to take the opposite to make sure I'm right with my premises. And so, or someone else's premise that I agree with. You can't, because it's just how it is. That is human nature.
Right.
And so when we respect other people's right to live their life as they see fit, again, providing they don't infringe upon anybody else's right, we live in a society that is kinder, that's more respectful,
yes,
and much, much, much more prosperous.
Well, the funny thing you brought up is this is the one group of people that I think people don't really see happen much. And this is when I was running in 2018, and again in 22, I'll do it again, which is the idea of supporting people's rights when it doesn't affect you. So, for example, I supported the changing the family law. I didn't go through a divorce here in New York State. I didn't go through the court system. I have no idea what that's like. But I still supported people trying to have families to see their kids, all those things. I supported the vaping industry. I don't vape. I've never vaped in my life. I've never even smoked in my life. But people have a right to vape if they want to vape.
Exactly.
I support cannabis. I don't use the cannabis. The only drug I use is coffee. That's my only drug is caffeine. But still, people who want to use cannabis, please use cannabis. I supported all of those things because the thing that you will hear me say constantly is all of your rights matter all the time.
Exactly. I agree 100%. It was the same with me with when back in Florida, they were doing the big vote. This is years ago, on smoking being allowed in what they called public places, but it was privately owned places that they were still saying. And I'm a virulent anti-smoker. Okay. I mean, I just, the idea of it just nauseates me. Okay. And so people who knew that said to me, well, Bob, why don't you get on the bandwagon and start making speeches in favor of banning smoking from all, I said, absolutely not. But you hate smoking. Yes, I hate smoking. Well, why wouldn't you do this? Because it's not my right to tell someone else who owns or has the rights to, through rent or whatever, however, a building, that they can't offer smoking in there. It's also my right not to go into that place if
correct,
and so forth. But I certainly would never try to tell someone what they can or cannot do, providing, again, they're not infringing upon someone else's rights. To ask the government to use their force in order to make that happen. People didn't get it. And that's I think that's a big challenge in society today. They don't get the difference between not wanting to do something yourself and not being willing to force someone else.
Yes.
To take your, right.
Well, there's a secondary piece too, right? And they often ask people who are running for office, they'll say things like, what's your opinion on X? And I go, well, my opinion is so-and-so. And they go, oh my God, why are you going to stop people from doing so-and-so? And I say, no, I didn't say I was going to stop someone from doing so-and-so. That's just my opinion on the thing. It means I won't do the thing. That's what it means. I'm not. And if people ask me, I would tell them, I don't think you should do the thing. But it doesn't mean that you should stop. However, you find that I bring this up the two parties so often, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. In both cases, they have become parties of individuals, not of principles, not even platforms. The Republicans were more open last time. They didn't bother having a platform. They just said, our platform is Donald Trump. That's it. Now, the reality of it is the Democratic platform is Joe Biden also. They just didn't say that. But it's the same thing, right? They just, the party, their culture and everything changes from the warlord at the top, right? That's all that matters.
Yeah, I know.
But
yeah.
if me, right, if I could today go, I'm the king of libertarians, I'd be laughed off the stage, right? There's no way I can't be the king of libertarians because we're a party of principles.
Right. We're the
And they will fight
only,
me no matter what.
Yeah, we're the only one. We're the only party that defends your right.
Yes.
To be a
absolutely.
sovereign individual.
So,
right. I mean, that's what it
yes.
comes down to. So, you know, it goes back to Harry
point.
saying, it goes back to Harry saying liberty has to be sold. And who knows why that should be, but it is.
Yes. And I think we're so accustomed to, if Larry Sharp, whatever, doesn't like mashed potatoes, then he's going to, I like mashed potatoes, but he's going to pass a law saying no one can have mashed potatoes. No, I'm just not going to eat mashed potatoes. But if you like them, please enjoy them. That's, exactly. I mean, that's the big difference. And people are afraid. They are afraid. And I've noticed that when I say things and when I get behind issues, most people who are new to either the movement or new to me immediately assume I was affected by the issue.
Right.
They always assume that I have a personal stake in every issue. And when I show them that I actually don't, they almost don't believe it. I have to tell them other things, right? People assume I'm a massive gun guy. I don't own a firearm. I live in New York City, but I support a Second Amendment. Well, what do you mean? How do you support a Second Amendment? You must have like 45 guns in your basement. No, but if you want to have that in your basement, okay, that's just fine, whatever you want. So I support these things. It's so funny, but I want to go to someplace else. I was talking with Maj Toure, my previous guest before, about the idea of changing community and being helpful to each other and those types of things. And I would argue that being helpful, supporting people isn't just altruistic. It's also good for yourself too. It's good for your own psyche. It's good for your own, everything. And you're one of the people who speaks about this in a way. You're the go-giver, right? I mean, you speak about giving first, and it does wind up coming back, and give first, and others get helped, and try to give, and you'll see how everyone will start giving. I mean, this is kind of your philosophy, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's human nature that we all want to be part of something bigger, right? And we crave relationships with other people. It kind of goes back to what when people say, well, individualists think they don't need other people. And again, that's just one of those, it's just such a falsehood. I mean, they don't know it. They're not lying. They really think it's true. But being an individualist, meaning the rights of the individual is supreme over the collective, doesn't mean you don't need other people, want to be with other people, form great relationships. It just means it's all voluntary. Right. And so, right. Yeah, I mean, one of the best things we can do for ourselves is to create great relationships, as I call them, know, like, and trust relationships. And the more of these really high quality relationships we have with people, typically the happier we are, the more successful we are in business. It works out that way.
I think even in romance, I think even in family, I think the more relationships you have, the better ones. People will, recommend a mate for you if you don't have one, right? You'll meet
absolutely.
People. You'll connect with people, right? You'll have a better chance of having fun and whatever is the cool, wherever the kids date now. I don't know. My wife doesn't let me date, so I don't know. Anyway, so yes. But I think every way, romantically, spiritually, I think in every way, obviously successful business also. But I think in every way, I'm surprised how much people constantly think that building themselves up is the only way to success. Of course you want to, but you've got to build relationships too. You can't just build yourself.
Well, the more you build others, the more you get built, right?
There we go. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Was it, oh my God, is it Dale Carnegie who said, you'll hold on, you'll get further
Oh,
by asking about others versus
sure.
speaking about yourself? I forgot. I've messed that up.
You'll make more, you'll make more friends by asking someone about yourself than by about asking someone about themselves than by talking about yourself is basically what it came down to. And I mean, we've all seen. I remember when I first started in sales, and I was on the telephone a lot prospecting, and one of the things I realized was, nobody ever hung up the phone on me while they were talking. Right?
That's true. Yes.
It's
very true.
It's that person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the funny part about this is people ask me, they say, Larry, how do you get people to trust you? And I would say, I stop talking about myself.
That's right.
So yes. So the more I'm talking about the other, I feel like the more people trust me. If I'm talking about either them or even not them, someone that we know, or some person we both respect. We're talking about, you and I talking about Harry Brown, right? So something like that. I think more people begin to respect you when you stop trying to say, look how respectful I am, right? Or respectable, sorry. Look how respectable I am, right?
Yeah.
You stop saying that. I think people begin to respect you more. It's almost like if you're not saying, trust me, people trust you.
Exactly.
But once you say, trust me, you're like, wait a minute. You ordered me to trust you. Maybe I shouldn't trust you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Bob, please do me a favor. Tell me what you're doing now. Tell me, I want to do the same thing. I'm talking about you now. I'm gonna practice what I preach.
Okay.
Tell me what you're doing now.
Really, we just, my business partner, Kathy Tagel, and I have it's called the Go Giver Success Alliance. And it's really an online mentorship community. And that's the biggest thing we're doing. That's
She's brilliant, by the way.
Kathy's amazing. Oh
She's
my
brilliant.
gosh, I got lucky to have her around. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, I've always been lucky. Like I always surround myself with people who are smarter and know more than I do, and it's amazing how that works out. And she is just absolutely like that.
Absolutely.
But,
so how do people find that?
Well, if they go to burg.com, burg.com, and they scroll down just a little bit, they'll see a bunch of people at what looks like a coffee shop, having coffee. And that's, of course, Rachel's famous coffee. Where I got to get this in front of.
Here we go. Perfect. Thank you.
And,
yes.
and if you read the book, The Go Giver, you know that Rachel was the entrepreneur with the coffee, right? And so, a lot of
coffee in your books.
A lot of coffee. Yeah, I'm a coffee person.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. 100%. That's great. But no, I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to go to one step further, which is the business aspect. When I was talking to Maj Toure, he has a whole different angle of how he touches people. Yours is heavily on almost like the entrepreneurship and kind of self-ownership of your career. Am I kind of right in that? It's kind of self-ownership of your career, whether that's entrepreneurship, whether that's with another organization, but you want the individual to really self-determine and to really own their career. Am I right there?
Oh, well, you are so spot on. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And this is a part that libertarian philosophy, and one of the reasons why I support the small business owners so much, is because most small business owners, obviously not all, but most of them, they have that in them. They're trying to control their own destiny. They're trying to own their own job. Yeah. And they're trying to also foster a feeling of that in others.
I love that, and I totally agree. I think that's why I'm partial to entrepreneurs and small business owners as well.
Absolutely. And I remember, this is someone I forgot. I was watching I was listening to a podcast. I've forgotten the podcast now, but a guy was talking about how he changed the way he thought about business and government when he went from having a job in a private sector, his own, to having a government job, which people told him was going to be a better job for him, right? It's a safer job. You have some stability, all those things. And he was doing a lot of his own gig work. He was doing gig work. So he went and he got a government job. And he said he was surprised, because when he would try to do his job well and be fast, they were like, no, what are you doing? And he said, well, what do you mean? If you're doing your job too fast, you're being paid by the hour. So don't rush it. it's not important to rush it. But when he was doing gig work, he's being paid by the gig.
Right.
So if he got it done fast, he had free time, right?
Mhm.
But he got to pay the same amount. So he just wanted to get it done fast, but he didn't. And he also found out that if he was doing the job too well, he made the others look bad.
Right. This is, yeah.
And he was like, oh my God. And then the guy talking to him said, that's not just government. That's government, but it's also a lot of big business too.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. It isn't only government. It is government, but it's anything big tends to become that way.
The bigger it gets, yeah, the more bureaucracy sets in, and there's safety in not doing anything. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to do too well, you don't want to do too badly, right? You want to keep status quo. It doesn't. There's no growth there, and that's one of the things I love about entrepreneurship.
Yes,
and that I love about sales. You know, you're paid for result. You're paid for bringing more value, solving more problems for more people. And the more you do that, the more you're going to be rewarded.
100%. And this is an issue that I find concerning, because I think we're creating a world to where particularly in America, to where two types of organizations thrive: big business and black markets. And I don't think that's healthy for us as a country. We're pushing out, particularly with what happened. COVID devastated so many of the small businesses across the country. So, and we haven't, as a society, changed our culture to kind of get those back.
Mm-hmm.
We've just encouraged people to either get out of the workforce, black market, or join a big business. Now more people work for Amazon. Not that I'm against Amazon. I'm just against Amazon being the only thing in the world that I'm against.
Yeah. So it's interesting with the big businesses, the massive, huge businesses. In and of themselves, I wouldn't have an issue, other than so many of them pay for special favors, which is the cronyism that is absolutely ruinous to our country. And I think the most insidious thing of all, Larry, is that most people, especially on the political left, they think that cronyism is capitalism.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
You know, I mean, I often say, and people often, unfortunately, will use the word crony capitalism. Even a lot of, liberty-oriented people will say crony capitalism. I say, don't even say that. It just lends credence to it being somehow related to capitalism. I often say that crony capitalism is to capitalism what Chinese checkers is to checkers. Nothing, just the name. That's it. So just say cronyism instead of crony capitalism. So, but who listens to me? So they keep saying it. But
well, at least I do, Bob. Someone's listening.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it.
There we go. Yes, someone is. I am. Okay. You got at least one guy listening. There we go. See?
But but yeah, so that's a major issue, and so once a company gets so big that they can afford to have lobbyists on K Street go in there and buy special favors, well, what are they going to do? People, it's so funny. So many people think that big businesses want small government. No, the big businesses want big government. Because they want those rules and regulations because they can afford them. And the little guy can never afford to be in business with those. And so they keep so much competition out, and people blame monopolies on free markets. Absolutely not. Monopolies occur because of cronyism, because government gives unfair advantages and keeps. So if government did what is its legitimate function, which is to protect the society against force and fraud, we would have a country that was so prosperous. There would be jobs for everyone who wanted one, and there'd be enough charity for everyone who needed it. But we can't, for whatever reason it is, seem to sort of understand that government is not the friend of the poor. And in the middle class, they are not.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter whether it's Democrat or Republican.
I want to bring up two parts to that you just said. The one thing is, what you said was enough enough jobs for everyone who wanted one, enough charity for those who need it. That is literally what the socialists say all their laws will do. And they've never done it. Never done it. But if you look at what many libertarians have done, the rules we've created, which are limited, the societies we've tried to have, they're actually better. And you do find more charity and you do find more jobs. I completely agree. It's almost like we're fighting the government to let us do it. We're fighting the government to have more charity. We're fighting the government to have more jobs. They're trying to stop both of them. It's crazy. You're completely correct. But the next thing I want to bring up is I bring up my own policies. And when I bring my policy together, there are 4 rules for any policy we make. Rule number 1, no extra taxes, fines, or fees. None. Whatever we come up with, it may not have an additional tax, fine, or fee. Obviously, I want to limit, but the baseline is nothing added, right? Number 1, that's a base rule. Second rule, no enforcement. There's going to be no new police force or new people with badges or new fines and fees or people to inspect. None of that. So that's the second rule. Third rule, when it comes to supporting individuals, I always want to make policies that always focus on the working poor and the middle class. Focus on those. Why? If they're doing well, the wealthy will be fine. They're good because that's their customer base. So if they're doing well, the wealthy are fine. No worries, they'll be fine. And who helps the very poor? It's the working poor and the middle class. They're the ones who are giving people second chances. They're the ones who are hiring the people who are felons and former addicts. They're the ones who are actually, in the soup kitchen, right? They're the ones doing it. So if you focus on those two, you keep the other two happy. Everyone's better. And the last thing, when it comes to businesses, I always focus on the entrepreneur class over the corporate class. The entrepreneur class is the class that's going to care more about local. They're going to give people second chances. They're going to be more innovative. They're going to do the new cool things. If we focus on that, things will work. Now, why does that matter? Because I would ask, again, any Democrat or Republican, how do they decide on policies? None of that will be true. None of what I just said. My 4 rules will not be true for any Republican or any Democrat at all. Their rules will be, I'm going to make policies that will force people to be the way my constituents want you to be. That's their rules. That's it.
Yeah.
Am I wrong on this?
No, I don't think they deny it at this point.
Exactly. Yes, they would agree. They'd say, yes, we're going to make laws that make you the way my people want you to be. That's what they're going to do. And again, it's not, I'm going to reduce laws. It's, I'm going to get rid of their laws and put in my laws. And then when they come in power, they'll get rid of my laws and put in their laws. So it'll be one boot on your neck. I'm not sure which one, but one will be on your neck. Hopefully,
right.
You'll like the color.
Hopefully the right one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
hopefully the correct one for that. Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely. So I want to ask them that you are always a positive person. Do you feel positive or optimistic? And if you do, about what? Because it seems like a kind of dark time for a lot of people right now. I mean, I'm calling on people. I'm seeing people they've lost their jobs, changed their careers. It's a challenging time right now. And a lot of people also have checked out when it comes to politics, either checked out or have tripled down on their side, right? So if they're Democrat, they've tripled down on being a Democrat. All Republicans are evil. They're Republican. They've tripled down on Republicans. All Democrats are evil, or they've checked out. Yeah. Are you optimistic? And if so, about what?
Well, I think by nature I'm optimistic. So I always believe that, something's going to happen that is going to kind of change things and get things on track. Is it? I really don't know. I also want to look at what is, so it's not that I'm optimistic in a way that I don't pay attention to the truth. I think the truth, the rational truth is utmost. We need to be as that way as much as possible. By nature, I'm an optimist, and it seems like, and I'm not willing, I guess, to say, well, you know what, we're so far gone that that the country is totally ruined and we're all going to be in a, yeah, I mean, some whatever.
Some dystopian road warrior
Right,
thing.
exactly.
Yes.
And I'm just picturing
Right.
like the earth all just like totally, wiped out and like, 10 people left, so I don't know.
Right.
But if you look at it, truthfully, it's not a good situation right now, certainly. But to the degree that entrepreneurs can keep ahead somehow of all the things pulling them back, right? And they can keep creating. That's the degree that we're gonna be okay, right? I've actually wondered for probably the last 25 years why we haven't had runaway inflation. And especially over the last, 10 years ago when quantitative easing came in.
Yes,
Okay?
absolutely.
Like, to me, how could you not at that point have runaway? But we didn't. And I don't know why we didn't, but I heard someone say, and it made sense to me, but I don't know if it's true or not, but it made sense to me, that the reason why we haven't had that runaway inflation is because entrepreneurs creating the, different, all the technology,
Sure.
has kept us, the technological creations have kept us ahead, of what it would be the economy has kept growing, right?
Sure.
That sort of thing. So now also there's been so much finagling in terms of government, what they've done with certain things that too. And now maybe I don't know if it's going to start to, we've hit this inflation now and who knows what's going to happen with this, but I had always, for 20 years, I've been wondering why this hasn't happened and it hasn't. So, can creativity and entrepreneurship and the mind of humans, can it be kept ahead of all the horrors that are out there? And to the point that somehow freedom or liberty expands to a point where it just takes hold in all these different places, and we get our acts together, and all the other countries in the Western world who are kind of free, but want big government, that they start to see that freedom is the way to go, and this moves its way into places like China and all that. I don't know, but that's what I'm optimistic about, that I'm looking to see happen.
Well, it's funny, what you're saying is most people, when you say, well, why isn't there inflation? They would probably blame or give credit to their guy, right? So if you're a Republican, you go, well, it's because of Bush and Trump. If you're a Democrat, you go, well, it's because of Obama and Biden, right? Well, not Biden, actually, but Clinton, whatever. You'd say, it's Clinton and Biden and Clinton and Obama. You probably would, the average American would give credit to their guy. But you didn't. You gave credit to entrepreneurs.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's amazing. Yeah. If I had asked anyone just in the street, if they were a Democrat, they would say, well, because the Democrats have stopped the evil Republicans from ruining the country. Or if I asked a Republican, they would say, because the Republicans stopped Democrats from ruining the country. They would say that. But you didn't. And I love the fact that you said that, because it shows where your head is. You're actually about the people. You're actually about the people.
That. Well,
yes.
that's libertarianism. That's
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, look, I want to say thank you so much for coming on, Bob. This was great, for giving me a few minutes of your day. I really appreciate it. I'm on for 4 hours, so I got a lot more left.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you so much, Larry. As you know, you're one of my heroes, and I've told you that before, and I just wish you to keep up the great work.
We got to keep going, my friend. Thank you so much. And guys, again, remember, it's Burg.com, and that's Burg with an U, BURG.com. Check out whatever he says. Yes, just buy his stuff. It's a good idea. Just buy his stuff. It's a good idea. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Larry. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. So, guys, I want to say, look, guys like Bob are the kind of people who are going to move this country forward. They're positive. They understand what's happening in the country. They meet people, talk to people, and get people to believe that we can actually move forward. Critically important. So if you like people like that, being in the ear of someone who is trying to move this country forward. That's what Bob's doing. He's in my ear, clearly, right? I mean, that's who you want. You want that kind of advisor. You want that person who's thinking that way. You want that mindset. If you want that, then do me a big favor and do yourself a favor. Give. LarrySharp.com/Larry-thon. Click that link. Give what you can give. I'm looking for 5 people to give $1,000 if you got it, or 50 people to give $100. We're trying to get together 10 grand. We got about 10 grand last time. Then someone was nice enough to give me an actual a pledge that matched that. So I'm trying to match it this time. Another 10 grand if we can do it. It's amazing. Why? Because we're buying polling. You hear me say this constantly because it matters. Polling lets us know what people are thinking. Polling lets us know what we should be focusing on. Polling lets us know. Polling lets the rest of the world know that we're here. And as you'll see, some of these starting to get posted online, in the press, it validates who we are. People validate us by whether we are in the polls, you know it, whether we raise money. Raise money, get in the polls. Now we take that money we've raised to buy more polling and or to buy advertisements. Now people see us on TV. People hear us on the radio. That begins to happen. Most important thing happens. Debate stage. Now you might say, Larry, you can't get in debate stage. It's impossible, right? You have to poll at 15% or whatever is the rule. Those rules don't matter at all. The rules are irrelevant. Larry, rules are relevant? Yes. What debate stage is actually about is ad revenue. I am not joking. Ad revenue. That's what the debate stage is about. Ad revenue. Are we popular enough that people believe they will watch us? That's it. But Larry, the press, nope. The press's job is to be seen. That's the press's job. And that's all they do. That's all they're about. How do I know that? Some of you saw that piece I showed you from our debate. I was in the debate, the official debate, the debate that was held by the League of Women Voters. It was the official gubernatorial debate. That's what it was. And you know who didn't show? Cuomo, the governor. He said, I'm not showing. Why? Because he didn't have to. We weren't popular enough. He knew that if he didn't show up, it wouldn't be televised. And it wasn't televised. You know who saw it? The people who were there. That's who saw it, which is great. We took a video of it, and I showed you part of the video, so you saw it. There was video there, so we took a video of it, but that was about it. No one else cared. So I'll show you a piece of that. I think I've already shown it to you already before. Some of you already saw it. Just a little piece of it real fast, just so you know what I'm talking about. This was the actual, if you look at it, you can see it. This is the official one. League of Women Voters, right? Hold on, see if I can remove this so you can see the actual banner here. I can remove this. There we go. If you see the bottom of it, it literally says at the bottom, League of Women's Voter. A League of Women's Voters of New York State. This is the official debate. You know who was missing? Was the governor. Nobody saw it. So you might go, well, Larry, what's going to be different this time? If I'm popular, they'll want to see me. What happened? Was there a debate? There was. There was. A local news station, CBS, that wanted to get that ad revenue said, oh, wait a minute. So they're not doing one? Okay, I tell you what, we'll do our own. We'll do our own debate, and we'll just have the Republican and Democrat only. Now, here's the reality. Republican, Democrat, they're going to show that one. So Cuomo went to that one. That one was televised and broadcast on the radio, both. I didn't get in that one. So I have to be popular enough. Now, hold on if I can do this so I can find it. While I wasn't actually in it, my team did a very good job. Hold on. My team did a good job of splicing me in because we had raised money. So we spliced ourselves in. This is the actual debate that actually came up at CBS.
The New York gubernatorial debate, sponsored by CBS 2 and
sponsored by CBS 2 and WCBS Radio. So that was on TV and the radio. Now, It wasn't the official New York gubernatorial debate. It wasn't. I showed you the official one. So this was not the official one. They just said it was. Who stopped them? Nobody. They just did it. They just did it.
And WCBS News Radio 880. Here is your moderator, CBS 2's Marcia Kramer.
From the CBS Broadcast Center, the candidates for governor of New York face off to discuss critical issues facing nearly 20 million people.
Issues.
Welcome.
They did nothing.
To the one and only debate for the highest office in the empire.
Blatant lie. I showed you the debate. And she literally said the one and only debate. And the debate I showed you was before this one. She literally lied. Did anyone say anything? Of course not. That's my point. I know you might be upset about this. I was too, but I've accepted it as true. The truth does not matter. They say what they want and they move on.
State. Joining me is Rich Lamb from WCBS News Radio 880.
That's the radio guy?
Along with the candidates, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Larry Sharpe. He is the 2018 Libertarian
We just spliced that in.
candidate for New York State Governor.
And Republican Mark Molinaro. The first question, because there was a toss, will go to the...
And there we go. That was the actual piece, right? That was the one they called the only debate. It was not at all. But that's what they said. And it was just, yeah. That's how it works. So how do I fix that? By raising money, by doing polling, by doing advertising, and being popular enough that WCBS or whomever decides, you know what? I want to make sure that Larry Sharpe will get people to watch our show and people will want to see him. Sadly, that's what actually matters. The rest, whatever, not that important. So let me see if I could grab a couple of comments. You guys are giving a lot of conversations. I appreciate this. Thank you so much. Let me grab this here. All right. Let's see. Joe says Larry would make a law banning pineapple pizza on pizza, though. Yeah, that's probably true. Okay, so look, I'm only human, so I will have one authoritarian law, and that will be New York State, no pineapple on pizza. No, you can't do that. Sorry, that's the one law that we have to have. I'm going to be totally just authoritarian. Sorry, yes, done. So Avi says, did I miss Maj? Yes, Maj was number one. He started. Yes. Larry Sharpe, Maj Toure, and Eric July are the three musketeers of Black urban libertarianism. Thank you for that. Eric will be on next time. I'll do another Larry-thon sometime in January. Eric will be on then. So yes, you missed Maj. He was the first hour. So you want to head back, you can check him out. Maj was in the first hour. Bob Burg is in the second hour. Chrissie Mayr is going to be third hour. Judge Jim Gray is fourth hour. So yes, I'm killing myself, Avi, for 4 hours again. And that's when that will happen. So yes, you did miss him. Sorry, but you can. It's okay. You can go ahead and do that. Yes. Brandon says, thank you to the words of my mouth for smoking laws as I'm loading my weed. Yes, absolutely. The point is, right, Brandon, I don't smoke. So what? I like coffee. Some people don't like coffee. If you don't like coffee, you're going to ban coffee? Coffee's a drug, caffeine. I like it. That's my drug of choice. I'll take my drug. You take your drug. Everybody's happy. That's how it should work. Or drugs, if you prefer. Whatever's your thing. 100%. Yes. So, all righty. So I can do this. Sam says, how do we speak with non-libertarians about things that affect the commons, just as pollutions or viruses, etc.? As a general rule, Sam, I talk about actual victims. That's a critical piece. And if you remember, my idea for New York State was to add a department within the DEC, which is an EVU. I'm using a bunch of words, DEC, EVU. DEC is the Department of Environmental Conservation. It's basically it's the EPA maybe of New York State. Maybe that's the closest thing you can find, perhaps, give or take, in that area, right? It's basically the people who are supposed to take care of the environment in New York State. I want to add a chunk to them, which is the EVU. The EVU is the Environmental Victims Unit. And that piece is a unit that is looking for actual victims when people do bad things in our environment. I don't just want to go, that was bad, I think, let me sue, and then the EPA steps in, protects the company, which is what happens now. They protect the company, Then there's some class action lawsuit that 18,000 people get involved in. Lawyers get millions of dollars, and each person gets $7.45, 10 years from now. That's how it works now. I want to create an environment to where the person who actually is making the bad decisions can be charged either civilly or can be liable either civilly or charged criminally, depending upon what happens. Let me go through that. Some of you may not have heard this before. Right now, how it happens in most of corporate America, they're in a boardroom, some guys and gals are together, and someone says, I have this plan to do X, Y, and Z in this state or in this ocean or whatever the case may be. And it looks like from projections, it's going to cost us to do the job $50 million, and we'll actually, make $180 million. That's $130 million profit. And they're going to be like, wow, that's awesome. What's the downside? And they go to the lawyer, and the lawyer in this case is Sam. They say, Sam, lawyer, what's the downside? Yeah, if things go badly, they'll probably come after us. The EPA will come after us. We'll hit the cap. The Superfund will kick in. We'll probably have to pay about $20 million, give or take. It's probably the high end. I could probably keep it down to 15, 10. Okay, well, that's still over $100 million profit. Let's do it. And they go, great. And they all go to lunch. And that's it. They never think about it again. They don't care. This is now Sam's deal. If something goes wrong, Sam's going to use his power and his lawyers and such. And in fact, if he gets it down to 12 million, he's a hero. They only paid 12 million. Sam's a hero. What about the people who were injured? Nothing. What about the responsibility people who raised their hand and said, yes, do it? Nothing. That's how it works. If you have an EVU and you remove the EPA, you remove the federal government out of it and you make it localized. And you might go, Larry, move the federal government out. That'll hurt. No, you heard Bob talking about it. The federal government helps big business. They don't hurt big business. They help big business. The regulations are written by big business. So they're helped. You take them out, and now it's localized. Localized insurance. And the goal is your insurance must cover everything. If something goes wrong, the insurance has to cover everything. You don't get to fall back to the EPA, which covers you and caps you. That's how the EPA works. It caps the government. So it caps big business, only pay a certain amount. If the damage they do is $100 million, oh, well, they pay 10 or whatever the number is, right? They're capped. That cap's gone in New York State. The actual, to do the cleanup or fix the issue, insurance must pay all of it. Period. You got to find a way. You got to pay it all. Or don't do it. Not just that. If there's a problem, something goes wrong. Now we have an environmental victims unit that actually puts together a case to give to AG to pierce the corporate veil. And they find the individuals who raise their hand saying, yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Now they can be either charged criminally, it depends, or at least held culpable civilly, either one, whatever the case may be, depending on what happens. So now, this is the new way of doing things. Now we're in that same room again. And the same person comes up, got this plan, going to cost us 30 million. We make 180 million. Not a bad deal. Like it. Hey, Sam, what happens if things go wrong? Well, probably we got good insurance on this one. We only pay 10 or $20 million. Won't be crazy. With the right insurance carrier, I could probably keep it down to 10 million. They'll cover the rest. We'll have some liability on this or that. Okay, great. Not too bad. And if things go really far south, anyone who raises their hand now might be held personally responsible, either civilly or criminally. Whoa, what? Yeah, I'll probably get you off because I'm a corporate lawyer with lots of money and resources, so I'll get you off. But the odds are you have to do deposition. It's going to be nasty, right? And you might have to pay a fine. You might have to step down if it's really bad. You won't go to jail because I'm a corporate lawyer with tons of money and tons of resources, so you'll never go to jail. But you might have to pay a personal fine. You might have to step down, deposition, maybe. We'll see. Could happen. Whoa, that changes. Now I might not raise my hand. I might say, wait a minute, how's the insurance on this? What's going to happen? I might care more. I don't just go off to lunch. Now I got to think about it. Now, in reality, is that going to stop putting executives in jail? Probably not. They run the courts and they run the lawyers. So odds are they're not going to go to court. They're not going to go to jail. Odds are. But will there be some discomfort for them? Yes. They don't like that. It'll change how they do things. I think that's how you talk about those types of things, by finding actual victims and trying to repair it. But not just that. Looking at the commons, as you say, as how do I keep most of the people as free as possible? Because once you start saying you can't smoke, then you start saying you can't drink, you can't vape, you can't kiss, you can't hug, You can't dance. You can't do whatever. So now all you can do is go there and sit down. Well, then who's going to go there? Then the Commons isn't the Commons anymore, is it? The Commons is a place for specific people who like a specific thing. It's no longer the Commons. Now it's a special interest place. And I thought people like that don't like special interests. You're creating special interests. I don't want it to be a special interest place. I want it to be the Commons. I think that's how you talk about it. Hope that was helpful. All right, so I'm gonna grab a couple more. All right. Bill says, I think the max is 44,000. Correct. Bill, I know you were thinking to yourself, I'd like to give Larry $50,000. I know you'd like that. And I know you'd love to send that check to me. I know you'd like that. I'm going to ask you, though, don't do that. 44 is my max. Just give me $44,000. It's totally fine, guys. I know most of you don't have $44,000 to give. But if you happen to have $44,000 laying around going, you know what? I didn't do this $44,000 I have. If you happen to have that, you should send it to me. Why? Because that in itself, just that, will buy a poll. That polls cost $40,000. So that literally would buy a poll and keep $4,000 to the side for Facebook ads to pump the results of the poll. So if you happen to have $44,000 laying around, I hope you all do. If you do, send it to me. I will guarantee you it will go to good use. And here's the best part. When my reports come out, you get to look at my reports. You can see where I spent the money. It's public. You'll look at it and go, yes, he said, and he did. You will see where the money's spent. You'll now know. So yes, if you happen to have $44,000 laying around, please send it to me. I will use it wisely. I guarantee you we will rock and roll and get stuff done. So yes, if you can, please do that. I don't know. Do any of you have that? Be great. So yes. You might say, Larry, look, $44,000. You're joking. I am. But there are people who've given me $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. That's not a joke. I think I raised $500,000 last time. I myself, my first donation ever in 2017 was to me. I wrote myself a check for $10,000. Yes. I said, if I'm going to sit out here and I am going to ask you for money, I have to put my money where my mouth is. You know my saying. I can't point my finger at you until I point my finger at myself first. And I did. I wrote myself a check for 10 grand. So that came out. Not just that now. I haven't worked in a month and a half. I stopped working in November. So I will not be working for the next year. I'm not working. However much money you think I make every year, I'm not making that now. That's my donation. I would ask you to think, can you work for not work for a year? Maybe you can. If you can work without not work for a year, that will be your donation. That's what I'm doing. So I am absolutely putting my money where my mouth is. And if you have that cash, it is valuable. It does matter. If I didn't believe in this, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be putting this stress on my family and on myself and on my career if I didn't see the value in this for the future. I see the value in this. I hope you do too. I don't need you to give me all your money for the year. That's not what I'm asking. But can you give me some money for this year? Please. If you can do $100, do $100. If you can do $1,000, do that. If you can do $1,000, do $1,000. If you can do 100, do 100. Whatever you can do, it does matter. Every bit does count. So David says, crypto exchange, freedom, and ease of doing business needed in New York State. Yes, correct. And be clear, David, I would end the bit license. The bit license is a terrible idea, should not exist, nothing but bad. The idea of us hurting cryptocurrency in general, a terrible idea. We need blockchain more open, crypto more open. New York State should be better in that regard. I've said that more than once. Yes, yes, and yes, I agree. By the way, I also do take cryptocurrency. I take Bitcoin. So if any of you want to donate Bitcoin, here's what I'm going to ask. You don't have to give me a whole Bitcoin, just half. Just give me half a Bitcoin. Come on, I'm a nice guy. Half a Bitcoin is all we require. You can head over to LarrySharp.com/donate and click right there where it says cryptocurrency. You can give Bitcoin right there if you want to. So if any of you have Bitcoin you want to give, please, love to have that. Thank you for that. All right, so if I can grab this here. Jeffrey says, plus if we elect Larry and LP ideas are given a chance and are shown to be effective in one of the most liberal cities/states in the U.S., it will spread like wildfire. Yes, yes, and yes. I'm fighting, and people think I'm crazy for this. Maybe I am. but I'm fighting in the absolute least, free state in the nation, as ranked by Cato more than once, multiple years. Least free state in the nation. Why would I fight in the hardest place? Because this is the battleground. This is the front. This is the front. This is the front, right here, front line. If we win here, we win everywhere. If we push them back here, we push them back everywhere. If we can win the governorship in New York, we can win anything in Wyoming. Anything. Doesn't matter what it is. We can win everything in Wyoming, Colorado. We can win in these states. New Mexico, we can win. That's why I'm fighting here. That's the issue. So yes. All right. Let's see if I can grab here. Adam says, I just heard a friend say he thinks I'm onto something and is switching over to the Libertarian Party. Wow. Nice, Adam. Thank you. Always a good feeling to have someone wake up to how the big two parties are treating people. 100% yes. You are totally right. Yes, absolutely. Shelley says, Queens has the most diversity and more Koreans than several others combined. It's true. We have a large Korean population. Very true. New York State has a Koreatown. New York City has a Koreatown. And a big chunk of Koreans also, not only in Koreatown, Manhattan, but also a big chunk of Koreans also in Flushing, Queens. So yes, we have a lot of Koreans in New York City. Absolutely. More than you would think. A lot. Yes. Desiree says, go Libertarians. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. And of course, Joe, but Larry, this is the most important election of our lifetime. Isn't it always? Isn't it always? Yes, absolutely. All right. Let me grab a couple more here. Let's see here. Doreen asks two questions. Let me see if I can grab both of these here. He had my vote in the last government election. Thank you, Doreen. My question, observation, are libertarians going to reach collectively to work with conservatives, Republicans, whatever, because it's more than political party now, it's about survival? Yes. How do I explain this? Doreen, I got to be very forward about this. The Republican establishment people do not want me to run in their party. They want to retain what they have. They're afraid of losing what they have, and they just want to keep what they have. They have nice second status, and they're happy there. They're making money. They've got jobs. They're getting Republicans in New York State to give them money, throw it away, but they do it anyway. So they just do it. So they don't want me to shake things up. The average Republican actually likes the idea of me running because they want me to move the Republican Party into two things. One, hope, which it has none now. If you're a Republican in New York State, and I mean New York State, Republicans in other states are different. They're different dynamics. The average Republican voter in New York State is basically in three camps. Number one, the biggest one, checked out. Who cares? Doesn't matter. I'll vote red because I vote red, but I don't really care. Maybe I'm not even going to vote. We'll see. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I can't fix anything. That's one. Many of them are ready to just pack up and leave as soon as either their elderly parent passes away or they get their pension or something like that. They're going to pack up and go. That's bin one. It's the biggest bin. The second bin, totally establishment. They are part of the establishment. They're people in the party. They know the party establishment. Those people are like, we're just going to keep going because that's how this is my livelihood. And they're going to just go, and they're diehard establishment Republicans. The chunk. The third chunk is the chunk that says, I would love someone to come revitalize this party. Those are the people who would like me to run. Because, if I run, I bring ideas, I bring other stuff to the party. They would love me to run in their party. Those are the three. Obviously, one of them I already have, that smaller chunk. The bigger chunk is harder to get because they've checked out. They're not even paying attention to anything. So I have to get those people, Doreen, to go, oh, I should care again? There's some hope in my state for Republican Party. If those people care, that's when I'll be able to get the nomination. That's my group I've got to get. And right now they're hard to get to because they've checked out. They don't care. They don't believe that it could even work anymore. So half of them at least aren't going to even vote. So that's who I have to get. If I get those, then yes, I'm open to working with conservatives. I'm open to working with the most leftist people too. You might go, Larry, how can you do that? I'll tell you how. I can work with the super left too. Larry, they want socialism. Yes, but they're not going to get it from Democrats either. Democrats and Republicans are both corporatists. Republicans at least are honest on this one. They just straight up go, we're never giving you socialism. No, go away. Never going to happen. So at least Republicans are honest on this. Democrats are lying on this one, right? They're the ones saying, and this is the opposite of Second Amendment, right? In the Second Amendment, Republicans are lying. They're saying they care about the Second Amendment. They don't. They say that, and they're lying. Democrats are at least open. Nope, hate guns. Second Amendment going away. Don't care. Who cares about the Constitution? Democrats are honest on this one. Now, when it comes to this case, it's the opposite, right? Democrats are saying, "Oh, we care about so we're gonna, we're gonna." They're not gonna. They're gonna do whatever the corporations tell them to do, and you see it now with Biden. You see now a lot of hard leftists are angry at Biden because he's not giving them socialism. But what I talked about with Bob Burg just a few minutes ago, I would do. I would let people and support people in having voluntary socialism. I have a problem. I'll help support people create communes if they want to. Let's do it. Let's treat communes like businesses. Good luck. Let's hope it works. I'm in. Let's let people have more. Let's have more localized credit unions, which is basically co-op banking. I'll support the co-op banking industry. You want to put your money in a co-op? You believe it? Go do it. It's your money. Awesome. Just don't force me and don't make others do it. I will absolutely support voluntary socialism all day, all night. And I'll talk about it as you heard me do it. I don't mind. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe voluntary socialism is the answer to all our prayers. Maybe I'm wrong. And you know what? You can show me I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, we'll all voluntarily become co-ops because that's the way of doing it. I'm okay with that again. If we all figure out that we're all wrong and that co-ops are the answer, we'll voluntarily, happily all become co-ops. I hope I'm wrong. So I think I can get them too by openly saying, I will support you in testing out all these theories on your own dime. I won't get in your way. I'll remove rules and regulations that will stop you from doing it. Go ahead. I hope you're going to prove one or two things. You're going to prove that you're right, awesome, or you're wrong, awesome, or the thing, what I believe is reality, is that in certain cases with certain people, it is the best answer. And hopefully you'll find out which cases those are. And then everyone in those cases will voluntarily jump on board and go, this is the right thing for us. That's what I think. So yes. All right, so if I can do this real fast here. Let's see here. Grab a couple more of these comments if I could. All right. Tom said, I waited till this time to make my small contribution. Tired of being left. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. I hope the rest of you also want to. If you can make a contribution, please do so now. It's LarrySharp.com/Larry-thon. We're trying to get a bunch of people together to make this work. I hope we can. Let me see if I could check real fast where we are at the moment. I actually was not. I should be paying more attention to this, and I was not. I apologize. I was sitting there talking to you all, and I wasn't paying attention to this. All right, we're only at 10% of the goal. So if you guys could help me move forward with this, it'd be awesome. The more you could do, the better. Every little bit does count. We want to get that connection to make this hit harder and harder and harder if at all possible. That's what we're trying to achieve. So yes. All righty. I'm going to grab a couple more if I could. Brennan says, I love coffee too. All right, great. It's a drug. In Canada, a 6-pack is $15. That's really stopping the drunks from drinking a lot. Really? That seems odd. Okay. Coffee's a whole lot cheaper than $15 for a 6-pack. But anyway, okay. Whatever the case may be, I like it. The point I was trying to make here is I want people to be able to find their happiness the way they want to find it. And I will even support the most hardest leftist person as long as they don't want to have government force their views on others. 100%. That's what makes us special, is that you don't have to convert. You don't have to convert to be libertarian. You can be whoever you want, however you want, and we'll just leave you alone. Not a bad deal. Counties can be counties, towns can be towns, communities can be communities, and one city doesn't create, a be-all, end-all answer for everybody. That's really the issue. Now, I want to use my magic powers yet again, because I do have magic powers, and I'm going to summon into existence a personal friend of mine, someone who I absolutely adore, someone who is super savvy, super cool, and you know what? Even funny too. It's just not fair how awesome she is. The woman herself, Chrissie Mayr. How are you?
Kathy Griffin couldn't make it, but yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yes, I did ask her first. She said no. Yeah, yes. Well, she was too busy. I think she was creating some kind of artwork with Trump or something. I forgot. I don't remember. She was
Yeah.
busy.
She's a busy lady.
How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I went into the city today to interview Andrew Giuliani, and he stood me
Wow.
up. He stood me up.
No.
He is a no-show.
Look at that.
Yeah.
See that? Andrew's running for governor. He
Mhm.
stood you up.
You would
I
never do such a thing.
I have never stood you up.
Yeah, so I know who's getting my vote.
There we go. That's how you do. See, guys, if you want to win, don't stand up Chrissie, and you
Yeah.
might win. That's how it works.
Gotta be
Andrew is
organized.
now no longer good. Those of you may not know, Andrew Giuliani is Giuliani's son.
Mhm.
He is also running for governor of New York.
Wow. Okay, so you guys are rivals.
No, he's not even close to my league.
Oh,
Not even close.
Oh, shots fired.
He's playing high school ball. That guy's playing high school ball. Not even close. He's playing
Yeah.
high school ball.
And
Yeah,
you're
no words.
you're in the NBA.
Absolutely. He's playing
Mm-hmm.
high school hoops. I'm in the NBA already. He's not even in college. He's playing high school. It's fine.
Yeah.
One day he can maybe make it to the NBA. He can make it to the show one day, maybe, but I doubt it.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
No, I am glad. This is what I love about you, Chrissie. You are really a mover and a shaker. You are finding the right places to be with the right people. I love it. It's great.
I'm trying, Larry. Yeah. You know,
I love it.
trying to stay
And
busy.
yes, and it is working. But I want to show you something. Time where we actually, believe it or not, first met.
Oh my gosh. Where was that? Was that at
You remember?
Sirius XM? Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So,
On
yeah,
John
I've enjoyed
Fugelsang's
your
show.
appearances, and I really think that you're the kind of guy that a big political party would love to snatch up.
Now watch what you do.
No, that is not your way. The
No.
Democrats would love you.
No.
The Republicans would love you.
Absolutely.
You're not going to be sucked in by a Borg.
Not at all. There's no way. The problem you have here, particularly in New York State, but it's everywhere.
Do you have a
And then you
cold?
do
The
selfies.
entire campaign.
I love you doing a
of
selfie.
His Majesty
Look
King
at you.
Andrew II.
Oh my
Is
God. I'm
busy.
like, look at
It's our
me.
campaign.
I'm like not even listening.
You weren't, which I love. That is just so amazing. I love it. I wanted to show you that. I just thought everybody would like that. That's when we met as 2018. Is that right?
Wow, yeah, 2018. And that was such a super Fugelsang is so lefty that I wasn't sure how it was gonna go. I didn't know if you guys were like butt heads. I was like,
Yes.
are we going in enemy territory?
Ready to
I
fight.
don't know.
I came in gloves up. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
You know me. I came in always hands in the air. I surrender. Let's have a conversation. And I think it went well. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the thing that I was happy about, and I've been happy about, is the amount of people who always assume that if you're libertarian, you are always going to do better with the right.
Hmm.
And I say, I can do better with either. It doesn't matter, right? Ebro in the morning, lefty.
You can talk to anybody.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't know if you heard, I was just talking about, people starting communes. Okay. Right? Okay.
Can I join your commune, Larry? I feel
Of
like you have a lot of
course.
skills. I feel like you can chop wood.
Yep.
What can I do? I can bake. I can do French braids.
Is that right?
I can organize. I can fold really well.
Wow.
I'm good at like tidying.
That's amazing. We'll need lots of tidiers.
I have like Asian folding skills. I read the Marie Kondo book.
Wasn't that, does that spark joy? Is that the one?
Yeah, the life-changing magic of tidying up. Mhm.
There we go. Yes. Does it spark joy or not? Exactly right. So you're basically going to make everything into a crane.
Yeah, yeah. And you're gonna be like, wow, we're forming a militia. Who cares what sparks joy? Like,
yeah, but then it's
get the
okay.
lentils out. Yeah.
Well, then as we have our flags, they'll all be folded into cranes. And we'll be the crane army. I love it. It's all good. It is all good. So tell me what you're doing.
You mean like to get ready for the eventual demise of society, or you just mean like in general, like goals for 2022?
Well, those are two separate things. Let's start with the goals for 2022. How about that?
Okay, good. Let's keep it light.
Yes.
Let's keep it light.
Yeah. Joe asked if you've interviewed Hochul yet.
No. I have not talked to Yokel Hochul yet.
Yes. Her
I don't
Majesty.
know. I just don't. She's not better. I say like I almost want to say like bring back the horny Italian. I kind of miss him a little. She's I don't know. She
yes.
seems a little more hardcore, like a little more pro mandate, which I didn't even think was possible.
The funny part about it is, when I look back at the two, I really thought that she couldn't be worse than him, right? I thought she couldn't be worse than him. You know, she's trying, like she's really trying. She's going out of her way to do that. However, there's one thing that I actually preferred about Cuomo to her. Cuomo had more personality.
Way more. Yeah.
Yes. He had more personality. That's actually true. See, even I, someone who clearly, obviously, openly did despise Cuomo, can say something nice.
You always want your leaders to be somebody you can more, do an impression of, do an imitation of. If you're too hard to imitate, that's no fun. That's why people are obsessed with Trump still, because he's easier to. You can't really do a Biden. What's a Biden impression? You just falling asleep, fall asleep in a pint of ice cream. That's it's
Well, you better put a mask on first.
True.
You put a mask on, fall asleep into a pot of ice cream. Biden, done.
There you go, and then you go. Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
You do say that also, yes, which is funny that he didn't get it. Isn't that funny? For those you don't know, some of you may not have heard this. A guy called into a live show. Joe Biden was on it, and the guy ended it with "and let's go, Brandon." And then Biden said, "Yes, I agree. Let's go, Brandon," and kept talking.
He just repeated it. He didn't even think about what he was saying.
Yeah, and the part that was funny is it because no one's told him? Like, did no one tell him this was a thing?
Right? Does he not know?
Right. Maybe. I mean, that's a possibility, to be forward. It's possible. No one told him the let's go Brandon thing. It's possible. The other thing is,
you don't have the heart to tell him there's like a nationwide inside joke going on at his expense.
It's possible no one told him. The other thing, I guess it's possible, is maybe he didn't get it. Like he didn't know how to handle it. So he just went into his mechanics, which, his mechanics are repeat back what the person says to you and say, I agree.
Bidening his time until he figures out what the hell's going on.
But sometimes you'll see people, particularly politicians who do this often, they have tropes they use, right? So whenever someone yells at you, go, I understand, and put your hands up, or go, I get you, or whatever. You do the thing.
Or I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Like
I hear you, yes. Yeah. So his might have been repeat and say, I agree.
Oh, okay. And of course, that makes total sense.
Yes. So that's his thing. So if someone goes, and then Jane Doe's law is a terrible law. Jane's Doe law, it is, and I agree. He doesn't know what Jane Doe's law is.
Or maybe he thought he was gonna say, "Oh, let's go Yankees" or something. And he just figured, like, all right, this is. It sounds like he's saying this with positive intent. I'll just repeat it.
I'll repeat it and keep going. Maybe I don't know. Or maybe he thought Brandon was somebody cool. Possible. I don't know.
Poor thing. I don't know. Poor thing. It's
so give me your goals for 2022. What are you gonna do?
Wow.
Tell me something cool.
Okay. Wow. Very cool. Okay. So I think it would be fully embarking, like fully embracing like comedy in a more so than before, like embracing it as a 100% career, like expansion. I think I'm going to possibly be doing a brand new studio in a new space. So like expanding the podcast, like really trying to have like a big, nice studio where I can have multiple guests and, maybe hiring like an intern or two, like really just trying to think bigger, in terms of the podcast and like continue to, tour around the country, perform.
Don't you have you have a special coming out, don't you?
Yes. Oh God, of course. How can I forget? I'm taping my first comedy.
I got you covered, Chrissie.
Comedy album / special on Thursday, January 6th from Governors in Levittown, and that's out on Long Island. So I better see you guys.
There we go.
I love it. Strong Islanders better come out. Yeah. So then that I think and then I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the special. I probably it'll end up on YouTube or Sirius XM or something, but it's good. This is a long time coming and I can talk about my experience at the Capitol on January 6th and also just like 10 years of stand-up and material that I need to, put somewhere.
10 years? You started when you were 14?
Yes, that's right.
Wow,
that's right.
You were a child prodigy. I love that. It's amazing.
You gotta start young.
I love it. It's very good. So no, when you say now, you're telling me that you want to stay in New York though.
For now, yes, because of like the kind of income streams between like me and my boyfriend and like it just is not feasible right now. And also like my boyfriend has a son who's only 10. So it's not like we can pick up and move to like Texas or Florida. So, yeah, but
Well, it's
like,
funny you
know.
mentioned that, right? Because I
Mhm.
talk about this all the time. People will stay in New York State until one of three things happens. One, the elderly parent passes.
Totally. Mhm.
Two, they retire, right, and get their pension. Or three, the kids are out of school.
Right.
So you got about he's 10 now.
Yeah.
So you got 8 years left. Is that what you're
Yeah,
telling
when
me?
you say it like that, it sounds so long.
But
I
I'm
mean,
kind of seeing,
but who
yeah,
knows? Like, if things get, who knows what will happen if things get much worse. But like, I feel like I've been going along okay right now, you know, and I love being able to tour the country, and it gives me a nice opportunity to kind of check out, okay, where might I want to be in the future? And there is a part of me that does want to fight, you know, like
yes,
I am one of the people that kind of has to stay here for a little bit. So what can I do to help?
right, absolutely. Look, I thought of the same way. I think I told you my story. I was considering leaving and going to North Carolina in 2017.
Wow.
And I got angry because why was North Carolina so much better than my state? Why does my state suck? So I want to do something. I wanted to fix it. So I thought I'm going to run for governor and I'm going to fix it all. By the way, that did not work out as planned. Just in case you were curious, I did not win the governorship and then fix everything. It didn't work. But I was trying, as you saw, you watched. I did try. But I didn't give up, and I'm still trying again. I don't want to leave yet. And the weird part is, I'm one of the people who could leave. Right? Like,
way to rub it in.
I don't need to be here. Right? I don't. Yeah. My daughter literally is going off to college next year. Right? And my other one's young. She's 11. So I'll just pack her happy ass up and leave her. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's nice. She's coming. So it's all good. So I can just go if I want to. And what I do for a living, I can do in any big city, right? I'm a business consultant. As long as it's a big city, I can't go to a rural area because I need big business to be my client, right? So I could go any place I wanted to. And I don't go and people think I'm crazy. I get all the time. Larry, come to our place. I get it all the time. But I'm staying because I don't know. Am I stubborn? Am I stupid? I don't know.
All of the above.
Yes, all of those things. I don't want to give up. My thought process is, if I leave, I don't want to think I didn't do everything I could. Right? I don't want to have regret and be sitting in Tennessee someplace going, maybe I could have.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. I want to, if I leave.
So few strong people staying and wanting to make a difference, it seems. So it's like every person who wants to and is able to do that, it's almost like you have a duty to try.
And you've hit it so well. What people don't get is they keep telling me, Larry, it's you can win this. People, are sick and tired. Yeah, the sick and tired people have left. Right? So my voter, and I know I'm calling people almost every day. Right? And as I call, I'm 3-4 hours on the phone every day. So I'm calling people every day. And at least 25% of them have left New York State.
Wow.
They're out. They're gone. I got an email today, some guy. Tennessee, Florida, all over the place, right? I was considering moving to Chattanooga. That's what I was thinking about. But I don't know, right? At first it was Charlotte. Now it's Chattanooga. But I'm trying to win this thing and stay and fix it. But I'm just watching people leave left and right. New York State, again, this is official data, number one, third year in a row, number of people who left the state. Number one of all 50.
Whoa.
Officially over 300,000 left in 2020.
What about California? Do you know those numbers?
California's bad too, but New York's number one. Take that, California.
Yeah.
We're losing way more than you. We're better than you.
So how do you adjust to appeal to the people that have stayed? You have to know who is staying and why and how to best reach them.
This is why I bug people for money so that I can buy polling so I can figure exactly that out. Yes, polling is so critical. And the problem is with polling is what many people know. One poll is not believable, right? You have to get multiple polls from multiple companies with multiple methods, and then you can kind of guess, okay, where is the trend? And you also got trends, because people who don't answer polls are never going to answer polls. So I have to not only know that this is a thing, but I've got to do multiple polls. What's a trend? So while the numbers may be off, the trend is probably not. If that makes any sense.
Okay, right.
So that's why I need so many polls done so often. It's why I'm bugging people right now, by the way. If someone's watching and saying, I think Larry's right, you know what you could do to help me out? You could go to LarrySharp.com/Larry-thon and you could give. I'm looking for 10 people, 5 people. What's 10? 5 people give me $1,000.
Oh, wow.
And I'm looking for 50 people to give me $100. That would be awesome if you could do that, because that would get me to $10,000, which is half a poll.
So if they just go to your website and click donate, this will go to the right place, or does it have to go to the Larry-thon?
Larry-thon goes to the right place. You can just donate if you want to. I'm happy if you do, but it's more challenging for my team to figure out who gave to what.
Okay.
Yes, this is a separate place for Larry-thon. So if I get that, it's awesome. If I don't, then if they go someplace else, I'll see it, but the team will have to go mix and match it.
LarrySharp.com/Larry-thon.
Yes, LarrySharp.com/Larry-thon. Absolutely. So if you're able to give, this be a great time to do it, guys. If you like people, like you saw Maj Toure was on here. If you like what he's saying, yes, he was here before. If you like what Bob Burg is saying, if you want people like Chrissie here to be in my ear, and she is in my ear, when she calls, I listen. When she says stuff, I'm listening. If you like that, then if you want those types of people to be in a position of authority, in an ability to change policy, you got to go to LarrySharp.com/Larry-thon.
What about Hunter Biden here?
There we go. Oh, wow. I like that. Why has he got the red scarf?
This is his classic look. Well, actually, his classic look is him without pants on. But then somebody gave me pants for him for Christmas, so I was.
That was nice.
This is how he arrived, like this, like just with his poo stained. I don't know if this is appropriate for the stream, but this was his classic look with the sneakers, and then I just got some pants for him.
Gotcha.
Because I was like, you know what? It's winter, Hunter. You need to bundle up.
You know, the one thing I got to say, if I had a family member who had a past like Hunter has, and this is serious. I'm gonna be serious for a second on this. That's funny, by the way, but I'm gonna be serious for a second. If you actually had that, I would embrace it. My mother had a checkered past. I embrace it. I don't try to hide it. I embrace it. I think if you hide it or act like it's not real, people hammer you more.
Yes.
They hammer you more.
Did you I don't know how much internet drama you consume, but I don't know if you heard about what happened with Jack Murphy, who is like he's kind of like a pro masculinity sort of community builder type, and he had a moment on a podcast where he was triggered by something from his past. It was an article that I guess he wrote about like an open sexual lifestyle, right? And now he's kind of grown into being more traditional, but the fact that he wasn't open about it, like he was sort of triggered and like, all right, I don't want to talk about that, like F you. Then more people noticed, instead of just being open and vulnerable and being like, that was my past, that was all these years ago.
Absolutely.
And then he got hammered online.
You just got to look, if it were my son, I have 2 daughters. If my daughter ever gets caught in something like this, I'm just going to say, yeah, I love my daughter to death. And I'm sorry she got into this, but I'm going to support no matter what. And you can be mad at her if you want to, call names, but I love her and I'm going to support her, period. That's it. And I'm just, she screwed up and I still love her and I'm going to support her no matter what. That's what I would do. That's how I would handle this. And some people would still hammer me because they don't like me. But the only people who would hammer me were the people who don't like me and going to hammer me anyway. I wouldn't get any extra. You do what he did with Hunter Biden, you got all the extras. You got all the extras.
Give him a painting career. Yeah.
You got all the extras.
What do you think is going to happen with the mandates, Larry? Like my friend Marshall, who's a small business owner in the city, just sent me this thing, like he's got to post in his window that anyone who comes in today, he has to check papers. Like that. This is scary stuff.
Yes, today is the official rule in New York City, where every single employer in New York City, those you don't know, now is a vaccine mandate. Every employer, vaccine mandate. Doesn't matter. And I think they have to have 2 shots, or is it 1? I forgot which one it is. There's some rule. I think it's the first shot. Yeah, then it changes to like the second shot, like in January or something like that. Jeez. It's a guarantee.
Wow.
Now, in theory, I thought Eric Adams would be a much better mayor, is what I thought. It is not looking that way at all.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the reason why. This is going to shock some of you people. It may not shock you, Chrissy. Most New Yorkers are absolutely on board.
Ugh.
They're absolutely on board.
Do they just like to obey? They're just not thinking. They just don't care.
They just love it. They're on board. I have many of my friends are Democrats, but some are New York Republicans. And the New York Republicans I know, all of them are also on board.
Ugh.
I had one of my friends who, again, is a New York Republican. He's a member of the Republican Party in New York State, and he's in New York City, not state, New York City. And he said, sometimes you got to force stupid people to do stuff.
Oof.
This was a Republican who told me this.
Ugh.
Yes, it is not looking
good. So you're
good.
Stupid if you have your own functioning immune system. You're stupid if you've gotten it and you now have natural immunity.
That would make you dumb, Chrissy. Yes.
That's crazy. Like,
yes.
Oh, but you're so smart if you get an experimental injection and then you end up getting and giving people COVID anyway. That
makes you brilliant. Correct.
Oh, what a smart, science-loving person you must be.
Yes. So I know it drives people crazy. I'm sure there are people who are watching who their head almost exploded, but I'm just telling you the truth. The data is in. It is clear that particularly in New York City, overall in New York State, but there are patches that are 100% against. But if you count the entire state as a whole, the whole state is on board. They are not unhappy. They're like, yeah, that's fine. Mandate everything. They are fine.
Is it just,
and that was the point I was telling you that we were talking about. Most of the people who would have fought back, a lot of them are leaving.
Wow.
A lot of them are leaving. So who's left? The people who are like, this is a great idea. Oh my God, this is a great idea. Those are the people who are staying. The rest are leaving. So you and I are becoming a smaller and smaller minority. Chrissy.
And is that hard, Larry? Like, okay, it's like you want to run and work with, represent these people, but how do you get over if you feel like the majority of people feel differently than you on something?
I think that happens often as libertarian. Often, right? I think the majority of New Yorkers don't want to pull back on gun laws. I think most don't. I think most New Yorkers are totally fine with red flag laws and all of them. I think most New Yorkers are. Surely in New York City. But probably if I took the state as a whole, also true. It just means I have to communicate better and convince people that I'm the right guy anyway. I have to do that. It's not easy. I have to thread a needle, right? For me to just be hammering on, people think that you got to hammer hard on the issues that people don't like. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. I can yell, stop it, you're all wrong. It doesn't work. And I know this because when I ran in 2018, I turned many people, but I didn't do it by being aggressive. I feel like I had an effect on you.
Oh, big effect. Big gold pill over here.
And I wasn't aggressive, was I?
No, not at all. And you just got me to think critically. It was just like asking questions that I hadn't. And then I don't know, I feel like I woke up out of a trance, like, oh, wow. Like, and it's okay to let go of this as part of my identity. Like, I am a person who's constantly learning, growing, expanding. So it's okay that you can it's like nothing to be ashamed or embarrassed of, that you're like, okay, I was this liberal and like, am I not a good person anymore? Do I not still care about the gays, And it's like, yeah, of course. Stop it.
Right.
Grow up.
Right. Yes. No, that's the thing that many people who are already here don't get. Most people come from someplace. They come from the left or they come from the right. They come from someplace. And the average person who comes from the left or comes from the right isn't a bad person. They think that's the right thing. Right. They believe that their way is the right way. And that's why they do it. They're not like, I'm mean and I'm going to hurt people. They're like, no, this is the right way. And then someone shows them, you can still feel that way. However, you don't have to force others to do that.
Right. And like, what if I'm just so worried? Like, I think there's like such a huge amount of New Yorkers, like they actually think that these mandates are good for them and yes, like going to keep them safe. So it's like, okay, if we're playing this game, like that's it. I just feel like so many of the real numbers and facts are being withheld from the general public. So they wouldn't even know if these things weren't working, even if they weren't.
Yes. Well, that was my point when I was about Biden and the Let's Go Brandon. It's possible he didn't know. I don't know this. I have no evidence to prove this at all. It's just saying it's possible. He didn't know. Why? Because he's limited in what media he sees, right? His handlers give him what he has to see. So it's possible he didn't know that was happening at all. It's possible. But the same thing happens to us. We often voluntarily only watch certain types of news, only take certain types of media. And if we only watch it, and I punish myself literally daily for all of you. And I actually watch at least 2 hours of mainstream media every day.
Right. You got to know. You got to know what people are being fed.
I do. Right. And I've sometimes shown my wife, because my wife hates mainstream media. She doesn't watch it. So I've brought her in a couple times and I'll say, come on, just watch for a second. And we'll watch like 5 minutes of, say, like Tucker Carlson and say 5 minutes of like Rachel Maddow or something like that, right? Whatever. And the news will be so drastically different. So whatever Tucker Carlson is talking about, Rachel Maddow doesn't exist. Like it didn't happen. It doesn't exist.
Realities.
Doesn't exist. And whenever Rachel Maddow is talking about, Tucker Carlson doesn't exist. It does not. It's not even important. It doesn't exist. If you are watching 3 hours of either of those stations, you would not know what the other is thinking.
Right.
And so that's why I watch both sides. You go, see, this is what side A and what side B is thinking. And then which one cares about which.
Do you ever find yourself being on someone's side that you didn't think you would be? Like, is there?
Yes. I am surprised how many times I found myself on, believe it or not, Brian Williams' side and Tucker Carlson's side.
Mm-hmm.
Those two on the left and the right have got me a couple times. I'm like, oh man, all right, maybe okay. Those two have popped. I'm rarely on other people's side, rarely here or there, but I think those two have got me both. I'm like, oh yeah, good point. I've got a couple of those. Most of the time, I'm watching it just to kind of understand what the other side's thinking.
Yeah,
but I think those have got me. It's CNN is almost unwatchable.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna give you a prediction on CNN. My prediction
goes up in flames.
No,
that's my Christmas
CNN
wish.
Within the next 2 years, will completely rebrand, and I mean totally rebrand.
Wow, what do you think did them in? Just everything.
There's two reasons why CNN has failed. CNN actually does something very good. Some of you don't know this. They're very good at something. They're good at regular news. Like if an airplane goes down or a building explodes, they're actually good at that. Like that's a skill set they have. The others don't have. They're not good at that. CNN's good at like, there's a coup in, Myanmar. They're good at that. That's like their skill set. And they've forgotten that. Once Trump got the nomination, they were like, we don't do that anymore.
They're just seeing orange and they can't go back.
Yes, and that's it. So they will rebrand, and I think they will become a documentary channel.
Wow.
That's what I think. I think they'll become a documentary channel.
You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah, and the reason why I say it is, if you look at what the best ratings CNN ever gets, it's on things like Princess Diana, the real story.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's where they make all the numbers. Now, CNN right now,
storytelling.
Correct. Because that's what they're good at. That's their skill set. They're actually good at that. So they should do that. And I think they will do that. I think within 2 years, documentary channel.
Interesting.
Yes. MSNBC has taken the far left very well. And Fox taken the far right very well. They're already good. CNN has no place to be.
You would categorize Fox as far right?
Relative to MSNBC, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
But hasn't what defines being right wing moved anyway? So now it seems like you maybe 10, 20 years ago you could be this much on the right, but now in 2021, if you're this much on the right, well, you're far right.
I don't think there is any non-far right, far left. I think everything's far right, far left now. Maybe I'm wrong. My feeling is when I see someone who defines themselves openly, and it is important to them that they define themselves as a conservative or as liberal. I don't mean it's someone who's walking around doing their own world. You ask them, probably more conservative. Not that person, because that's the average person. But a person who votes, a person who cares, who defines themselves as either a liberal or a conservative, in the average person's mind is far left or far right.
Okay.
That's what I think, right? The average person who's just going to work every day and doesn't care,
Right.
if they hear someone talk who self-identifies as either a liberal or as a conservative, I think the average person sees them as far whatever.
Okay.
And if they lean more right, they see the left as far left. If they lean more left, they see the right as far right. That's what I think.
That makes sense. Do you think these new mandates will do in a lot of businesses? Do you think there's ways to get around it, or that will they just be screwed?
I think they're gonna be screwed. I don't think. I would say, as I always say, I had an actual plan and still have a plan to fix the economy of New York State. I would ask anyone watching, has any Democrat or any Republican given you a plan to fix the economy? None. There's no plan. There's no plan. The plan is we're going to let government money come in. There's a new thing that came out today. Yeah, I think it was today in New York City. If you're having trouble with this, there's a new fund available for you to get government money. That's always the answer. The answer is more government money. There's another fund today that's coming out for small businesses, I think, who are going to struggle now, because if you're a small business and you have 1 or 2 employees and one of them won't get a vaccine, you're finished. You're finished. Because you can't get anyone else to work for you in today's economy.
Oof.
Right? What I hear constantly is, I can't get anybody to work. I can't get people to work. No one's going to come to work. It's called the Great Resignation for a reason. Everyone's resigning. They're not going back to work. So how do you get someone to go back to work? So now I'm a small guy. I got 2 employees. One of them won't get the vaccine. They leave. How am I going to find someone else? And here's the worst part. If I find somebody else, I got to pay them more. And on top of it, they're less skilled.
Right.
So now I have to train them.
Right.
So I have to lose time, or my other employees lose time to train them, and they may leave in 3 months.
Right.
And it's taking me at least 3 months to find somebody. And I'm up against Amazon. I'm done. I'm up against Amazon. I'm going to do that. I can't. It's done. I'm done. Ball game's over. So yes, a bunch of them. What government does very well is it helps 2 types of environments: big business, black market. Always helps those 2. Big business is how it gets its money. Black market is how it increases its force and control. Because black market is always the excuse for
You know what
control.
they say, Larry? Once you go black market,
you never go back. It's true. It's true. It's true. I wish it wasn't, but it's true. So
is the market just bigger and
it's just bigger? Yeah.
Let's keep it.
It has more stamina. The whole thing. The black market has stamina. It's true. It does. It does. It is. So, yes.
It's good in hard times.
It is. And hard and good times. It's all those things. Yes, absolutely. Yes. 100%. 100% true. It's just, look, I don't mean to be, say it's a family show. No, it's not. It's not.
It's my fault. It's because I'm here.
It is.
I brought it
but
up.
It's all good. But yes, I think they're going to be in trouble. Look, you dealt with this when it came to the comedy world, right? Yeah. You dealt with it with small comedy clubs. You dealt with all these things.
I said I would not perform anywhere. This was in August. As soon as de Blasio announced it, early August, I was not going to perform anywhere that mandated show of paper. So I have not performed really in New York City, basically at all since then. It's all been road stuff, Texas, Nashville, Jersey. My album taping is going to be in Long Island, where things are still chill as of now. Yeah, I just don't think it's right. I just don't think it's right to make people show their papers for something that doesn't actually stop. These injections we're pushing on people don't actually stop the virus, and that's how they were sold to us. And that no one seems to want to hold anybody accountable for that. It's just we have such a short attention spans. It's today they're saying we just have to for our health, for our safety, and no one's thinking back to when everybody was saying, well, you won't be able to transfer it. You're going to be fine. You're going to be
2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
Just 2 weeks.
It's not like with other, you get a polio vaccine. You don't get a little bit of polio, or you don't get 1 mump or some measles. And you're like, well, thank God I got the vaccine. It would have been so much worse. Now I have a mump on my neck. I don't even know what mumps is, but
I don't have mumps. I have mump.
I have mump.
It's cute. We have mump. So the other issue though, of course, becomes if you decide to do this and you're bouncing around, what if there's a mandate across New York State? Does that mean you now have to take off and head over to New Jersey and stuff?
Well, that's kind of how I've been working. Like I do my Compound Media show Mondays in the city. That's like recorded in a studio, and I don't think Compound Media is going to comply with any of this stuff. So I think we'll probably be okay.
Okay.
But I haven't been doing stand up in New York City. It's been Jersey, it's been Connecticut, it's been Texas,
Now, let me
Florida.
ask you a question. You've been doing stand up. Has your stand up have you been talking about things like mandates and lockdowns in your comedy?
Yeah,
How is it working?
I've been
Are people
trying
getting
to
it or no?
do more of it, honestly, because I feel like my stand-up was very much one way for years, and then I started waking up in like 2018, and then I was at January 6th and I saw the way people talked about it, and it was so different than my experience. I was like, oh wow, like I need to start speaking more of my own truths, because then other people will speak for you and speak for your experiences. So you try it here and there. It's like the tweets that I throw out there that do well, that deal with these topics. Sometimes I'll slip them in, in the midst of my like tried and true stand up, like the jokes I know work. And that's true of anything. You want to do a new joke in between things that work. And sometimes it's more like storytelling too. And yeah, I think it's been going over pretty well. I think, but maybe I'm spoiled by I'm performing in a lot of mostly free states. And
Sure.
so maybe the audiences are more kind of freedom minded. So
Got
yeah.
it. I mean, that makes sense. Well, the thing that people don't realize is once government uses force to enforce something, they can't go back. Right? Particularly when they double down. I mean, think about it. If I come in and I, shut down Compound Media and say none of you could work, whatever, because COVID, and so now people lose their jobs, people can't pay their bills. 6 months later, well, still it's not there. So now I'm gonna, fine you, and you're gonna pay $5,000. How do I go back 6 months later and go, yeah, Chrissie, I know you lost everything, but I was kidding,
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
I can't. So I have to triple down. So now people get COVID. I take action, harsh action. More people get COVID. Well, you could go in theory, well, maybe I'm wrong. Why don't we change? No. Down again, down again, down again, down again. You got to keep doubling down. So,
because you can't ever look like you're wrong or made a mistake.
Yes. So this is a piece of Ryan brings up. He says 42 New York counties are not enforcing.
Nice.
However, there's a big however here. What if you notice what our governor said? She said when she was asked about this, she said, well, some people aren't enforcing because they don't have the resources to do so. That's what she said. She did not say it's because they're against what she's saying. She's saying they won't enforce because they don't have resources.
Is that a loophole?
That is a very good spin. That means she's still not wrong.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because you would think non-compliance means the counties are saying you are wrong. We disagree. She said, no. Of course they agree with me because I'm super right. So of course they agree with me because I'm always right. I mean, I speak to God. So of course I'm always right. She said that, of course, right? So of course that was correct.
Yeah.
The issue is that I'm the cash. So here's what she's done. She's created a fund. She's going to give out money to the people who need it. Now, what does it really mean? She's going to bribe counties to enforce.
Ooh.
So you're going to find that 42 number go down because she's going to bribe them into doing so. And then what she'll do next is she'll withhold money from those who are not enforcing. Now, if you happen to be a county who has enough cash on hand, you're fine. You won't enforce. But if you don't, things will change.
Yeah.
She's going to bribe people into saying yes and then take money away from those who say no. And I think that 42 number is going to come down. There will be some who will be hardcore and will not enforce. There will be some. But I think you're going to find that number come down. And that number's... Go ahead.
Is there any way, like, let's say you were to win, is there any way, like, one man could turn this around?
100%. The good thing about Cuomo, and there are many, many bad things and hardly any good things, but the one good thing is he made it so that it's all about him. In New York State, we don't pass laws anymore. we only pass budgets. I'm not joking. Everything we do is in the budget. And the reason for that is he wants to make sure that he controls all the money. So if you vote against his law, you don't get the money, the budget's canceled.
Wow.
So that's how he forces all Republicans to do what he says. So the advantage of that is when I come in, I can undo it.
Okay.
He set up a system that one person can do anything. That's why Kathy Hochul walks in and says, I'm doing what I want. I don't care what you all think. Because he set a system up for her. She walks in, that's what you do. Mandates, all those things. He set a system up to where it's all about him.
Do you think that that Hochul, do you think that they get somehow extra credit from like whatever? Like let's get squirrely, like the powers that be, the globalists, whatever, like this grand scheme. Now any governor.
Her husband works for Big Pharma.
Right. Like, are you getting there? They must be doing this for brownie points or eventual, like whatever, to look good for, I don't know.
No, her husband works for Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what Cuomo used to do is he used to put people on boards. There's tons of boards and community groups that he put together. And he raised over $800,000 every year just from them. Cuomo has $20 million in his account now. 20 million. Hochul will have at least 10 million in her account easily, maybe 20 million after this also. So they're going to have tons of money. And there's many ways of them funneling the money back to themselves. Here's an example of one way. They do many things. But if all of a sudden Cuomo has a bunch of money, he can say, you know what? I want to work for, I'm making this up, BLM, whatever, right? He decides that. So what does he do? He donates $5 million to BLM. Then BLM hires him as a vice chancellor of stuff, and they pay him $250,000 a year for 5 years. So he basically bought his own job.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Do it all the time. It's a very easy way of laundering money. Very easy.
Damn. Oh, that's so dirty.
100%. So do they care if he does anything? No. He gets paid $250,000. I mean, $750,000. They get to keep the $250,000 he gave him. Plus, he'll give him some more money on the side anyway. He'll donate anyway. They get tons of money. They don't care if he shows up for work or not. They don't care. Whatever. He's the vice president of
chancelloring
stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's it. Done. So they'll find ways of doing that. So it's most of the time it's about a money grab. It's almost always. It's almost always about a money grab. I know it sounds horrible.
It always seems like the people who rise to power or who have power are like never the ones that deserve it. And it seems like the people best suited for these jobs are not the ones who are going after them. So it's like, how do you realize that you are this person? Like, you're not an egomaniac. You're not power hungry.
Well, it's funny you say that because some people who know me and say, well, Larry, you have an ego too. Oh, yeah, of course. You can't do this without an ego. It's impossible. You can't. The question is, do you put yourself in an environment to where your ego is tempered, or do you put yourself in an environment where your ego is filled and bloated? And second, more important thing, have you had your ass kicked? And I mean
physically or
both.
Okay.
Both, right? Have you? And I was watching a show. It was Will Smith and Kevin Hart talking the round table talk, that red round table thing, red table talk, talking about their kids and how the kids don't understand what it feels like to be punched in the face. And they talk trash and they'll realize that you're not ready to be punched in the face. You're just not ready for it. And I've punched people in the face and I've been punched in the face. I grew up in the ghetto. I know what it's like to be punched in the face. I know what it's like to punch someone in the face. I've had my ass kicked. I know how that works financially and physically. And when that happens to you, you become more humble. And you realize that no matter how cool or how smart you think you are, and maybe you are cool, maybe you are smart, if fate wants to smack you, it will, whenever it decides to, no matter what. It will smack whomever, however, whenever they want to. And if you get that, your ego comes down a bit. You don't want people with a big ego. You want people with a strong ego. There's a difference.
And healthy. Yeah.
Yes, correct. And I hope that I'm that person. And if I'm not, I hope people will make me that person better, which is why I put the right people in my world to make sure that they point me in the right direction. I have a lot of people around me who will tell me that I'm wrong. And lots
not
of people
me, Larry. Not me. You're always right to me.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's awesome.
What are like the New York's biggest problems do you see right now?
Oh my God, all of them.
All of them?
But the biggest one is the budget, without question.
Okay.
If we cannot be financially stable, the entire place goes under. Biggest one. Budget's biggest one, which means we have to find new ways of getting businesses back, new ways of raising money. Yes, that's the biggest piece. So, but let me ask you, how do people figure out, how do people get a hold of you?
Oh, okay. Yes. Follow me I'm on Instagram at Chrissie Mayr Pod. I'm on Twitter at Chrissie Mayr, and you can listen to the Chrissie Mayr podcast 4 days a week on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud. And I also do a show called The Wet Spot on Compound Media Mondays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. What else? I have a show on Rockfin, which is like kind of uncensored, sort of maybe more conspiracy type topics discussed on there. And yeah, go to my website, ChrissieMayr.com. I list all my show dates there, and you can get tickets for my upcoming album recording on January 6th, and then future dates. I'll be in Georgia, Florida in March. So I'm always adding new dates to the calendar.
I love it. There we go. That's amazing, guys. Also, I've been on her show. So you can also Google Larry Sharpe and Chrissie Mayr, and you'll see both of us.
We've done amazing episodes, like always thought-provoking, always good. Like
Absolutely.
Larry's always like a home run podcast guest because you can always talk.
I appreciate that. So, Chrissie, I want to say thank you so much for giving me a bit of your day. I'm sorry you got stood up, but I didn't stand you up, so something at least.
I know. I never forget, you never forget a man who stands you up.
There we go. Absolutely.
Yep.
So thank you so much. I hope that everyone will watch you and check out all your stuff. I will see you very soon.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. So, guys, check her out. Please follow her on Twitter. Follow her and all the cool things. She's amazing. I adore her. I'm so happy that she gave me a few minutes of her time. Guys, if you want people like this in our movement, if you want conversations like this in our movement, then support the movement. LarrySharpe.com/Larry-thon. Give what you can give. I'm trying to get 5 people to give $1,000. I'm trying to get 50 people to give $100 so we can move this thing past $10,000. If possible, I want to do that. If we can do it today. If we can't, the world's not going to end. But here's the most important reason. The quarter is going to end. The quarter ends in a couple days, and my report comes out January. People are going to judge me by how much money I raise. So what they're going to do. They're going to look and go, wait a minute, this guy raised a bunch of money. He did, he's a player. He didn't, he's not a player. And they're going to keep that number for the next 3 months because the next report doesn't come out until April. That's why I'm bugging you for money. So help me out. If you've given, that's awesome. If you haven't given, no worries. Like and comment and share. Get this to other people. If they want to hear it, if they care and they give, it matters. The key part is giving now, giving before December 31st is a critical piece. If you can do that, it is going to help tremendously. That's the key. That will help tremendously. You might go, Larry, look, you and all your money, trying to get some money off us. Yeah, because that's how I'm judged. And if you want me to go back and be on TV, if you want me to be in the radio, you want me to be in the polls, money matters. I wish it didn't. For some of you who may not realize this, I was asking back in 2018, why am I not being covered in the press? And they went, well, you don't buy ads. Literally, you don't buy ads. That's how simple it was. So I have to buy ads to get covered. It's pay to play. That is what I'm up against, right? Larry, why aren't you in the polls? Because I don't buy the polls. We have to do that. That's what matters. So let me grab a couple of comments if I can. All right. Let's see here. David says, Justin Lamar suggested that someday Congress will have one bill to cover everything the government is going to spend money on. That's what New York State already has. It's called our budget. Yes, literally. That's what it is already. New York State has already gone there. Justin is correct. We do a budget and that's it. And the budget says what we're going to spend. Everything else is either put in the budget or we have these things in New York State, these either committees or boards, and it's always 5 people. 3 of them are selected by the governor. So the governor puts 3 of his cronies, in this case her cronies, on the board so that whatever the governor wants, the governor gets. And whatever edicts they come out with, if the legislature doesn't get rid of it and end it within 30 days or 60 days, I forgot the number of days, it's a law. That's how laws are made now. So who's responsible for that law? Nobody. Nobody. The governor goes, it wasn't me, it was this independent body. No, well, you picked the 3 people on it and they're your cronies, but independent body. The legislature goes, it's not a law, we didn't make it. It's from the independent body. So nobody's responsible. Well, who elects the independent body? Nobody. It's selected 3 by the governor, 1 by the Senate, and 1 by the Assembly. What does that mean? They can reward all of their cronies with jobs, with government jobs and power. That's how it works in my state. So it's already happening. It's already happening, 100%. So let me grab a couple more if I can. Ryan says, nope, Rensselaer County has plenty of resources, not enforcing. They may get away with it, but I think others won't. That's the issue. So let's see. Joe says, where can we hear your comedy? I think they're talking about Chrissie. And again, you can check her out. Twitter, YouTube, all over the place. Her spelling is right there. I've linked her in the description. So please check her out to the best of your ability. Yes. Loopy Locust says, Joe Rogan canceled a sold-out show because of Show Me Your Papers. I didn't hear that. Wow. That's impressive. But then again, I guess, absolutely, I think someone like him can get away with it, if that makes any sense, right? If he has to cancel sold-out shows, I'm sure he has insurance that will, pay somebody or something like this, right? I'm sure he has something like that. And if he does take a bath on one show, he'll get over it, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. Nobody wants to lose money. But he's not going to be selling pencils on the street because he, one show got canceled. He'll be fine. But what if you're not that? What if you're a struggling, what if you're a struggling comedian who's trying to get every gig he or she can get? You don't want that to be canceled, right? I mean, oh my God, it would change everything, right? I mean, it would change everything. Yeah. So anyway, I know I kept talking, but I think you get it. Yes. All right. I'm gonna grab some more if I can. Shelly says, always keep some money above the table. If you go all black market, you get caught. See, Shelly, you're thinking. Shelly knows how this works. Yeah. You got to have some way of making money, right? They're going to assume that's some way of making money, of course. Yes, absolutely. Thomas says, good black market comedy. If you remember, that was a thing. Some of the most popular comics of the 70s, 60s, and 70s kind of had to go black market because the mainstream market wouldn't sell their stuff. And they were doing, bootleg albums or bootleg, cassette tapes, that kind of thing, right? Bootleg records. For those of you under 30, you know what a record is. Anyway, the vinyl. So that people were doing that. So I think, yeah, that was a thing. And a lot of people made a lot of money. Wasn't it Red Fox went bootleg? Cheech and Chong were bootleg in the 70s. Lenny Bruce was bootleg in the 60s. Wasn't George Carlin bootleg too? Pretty sure he was too. So yes, many of them were. Yes. All right. Brent says, I am the only pro-life libertarian. You are not, my friend. This is not true. Got to be at least 25% of libertarians are pro-life. I mean, maybe more. I'm being a bit of a guess there, but in that area, at least 25% are pro-life. There are a lot of pro-life libertarians, at least, if not more. So yes. So let's see here. Tim Pool talked about that. Check both sides. I do too. As I said, I watch both sides of news because I have to understand what the sides are thinking. Yes. Eddie says, Carlin, 7 words you can't say on TV. That is correct. Yes. I guess it's literally black market, isn't it? Absolutely. Literally black market. Yes. All right. Here, let me keep going down here if I can. Shelly says, I have to wait till the end of the month to see if I have money left. Shelly, don't bleed out. I adore you, Shelly. Don't bleed out. I adore you. Please don't bleed out. If you can, awesome. If you can't, no worries. I want you all to give something. I'm giving. I want you to give something. But I don't want you to bleed yourself out because of this, right? Please don't bleed yourself out. But if you can give, please give. I hope you all are so wealthy that you can all give $500 to $1,000. That'd be awesome. I hope you all are. But if you're not, it's okay. I still love you. Every bit that you can give, you can give. And if you can't give, no worry. You know what you can do? You can like, you can comment, you can share. You can do all 3 of those. That's free. You can do all 3 of those, and it's free. So if you want to, you can do that. That still gets me out there. Somebody will see it. It's still good if you can do it. Still awesome. If you can give, of course, please give. That's why I'm on here, right? That's why I'm doing this for 4 hours over my Christmas weekend, because of the timing. The timing is, this is the end of the quarter. That's why I'm bugging you. And so for those of you who don't understand, end of the quarter, I have to report everything to the government and let them know what money it came in, how much I spent, all that stuff. I let them know everything that happened. They then report it. The press sees that report and goes, aha, Larry Sharpe raised X dollars, whatever those dollars are. I hope 80 billion. That'd be awesome. Not going to happen. But whatever that number is, they look at it and they go, okay, great. There is that amount of money that Larry has raised. Awesome. Now, if that number is lower than they expect, they tease me and go, what a knucklehead, he didn't do anything. If it's higher than I expect, they go, oh my God, he's amazing. And in most cases in this world, I am, without question, I am usually in some way, shape, or form not looked upon in a good way. I am unfairly judged, right? Most of the time. This is one way where I'm not. This is one case to where when I actually, if I actually don't raise that much money, it's a good thing. Not a good thing. It's looked upon positively. Let me explain. If I was a Republican or a Democrat and I raised $200,000, they look at me and go, my God, $200,000, what a loser. Oh my God, you need to be raising millions. You're a Republican or you're a Democrat. But if I'm third party, I'm libertarian, and I raise $200,000, they go, oh my God, he raised $200,000? This guy's a player. Look at this. So this is one of the only times to where me not raising a ton of money, not raising millions, is looked upon as okay. It's the only time where me being judged differently is a positive thing. In almost every other way, it's negative. This is the one time it's positive. That's why I'm pushing it. And when they report that number, the media will report that number as a validation for the next 3 months. So they'll say, Larry Sharpe running for governor of New York, who's raised X dollars. So-and-so, so-and-so running for governor, who's raised Y dollars. That's all they're going to say for the next 3 months. Then in April, they'll mention whatever. Now, Kathy Hochul will probably have raised millions. I mean, I don't know, but for sure, she raised millions. So whatever, it'll be Kathy Hochul she's running against Kathy Hochul, who's raised whatever, $6 million or whatever number she's raised. Now, there'll be a big gap, obviously. But again, because I'm third party, that gap is okay, if it makes any sense. That gap is seen as normal and expected because he's third party. What would he at all raise, right? He would never raise any money. He's a nobody. So yes, I hope that was clear on why I'm bugging you, why I'm saying what I'm saying, the entire piece. That's why I'm trying to do it. So, all right, I hope that was clear. I am going to try to bring in a mentor of mine, someone who I respect tremendously and who I left for the end. I'm hoping I can get him in here. The 2012 VP nominee, the Honorable Judge Jim Gray. See if I can grab him here if I can. Hold on. I may not be able to judge. If you can hear me, I need you to connect your camera. If you can, so I can get you on board. If you have your team there, can connect your camera. I will send you, and then maybe we can get that going here. All righty. I'm trying to bring him on. 1 second. Let me see here. On here. Quick note. See if I can get him on board here. One second, guys. All right, we'll see if we can fix that. Let me grab a couple more. Brian, you didn't have to mention the 7 words that you couldn't say. It's a family show, bro. I'm not going to post that one. I'm not doing that. I'm not posting it. Yes. Sam says, I hit that donate button today because 1, my freedom is worth any random comfort. Thank you, Sam. 2, there is no better champion for liberty than Larry. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Sam, tremendously. All right, I am going to bring on the Honorable Judge Jim Gray now for you guys. How are you, sir? So good
I'm
to
just
see
great,
you.
Larry.
I'm so happy to see you. Go ahead.
I'm technologically challenged, so I'm on my cell phone instead of my computer. You just have to live with it. So don't let me mentor you about that, okay?
Oh, good. No worries. I'm very happy that you came aboard. As you know, I've decided to put the band back together, and I'm going back on the road again. I'm either crazy or stupid or stubborn or something, but I'm doing it.
No, Larry, you're a patriot. We need so much in our country. We need so much in our country. People will bring us together, and you're one of those people that can. I'm proud to know you, and I hereby, it's just between the two of us now, isn't it? I hereby promise to do anything you tell me to help you win that governorship election.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Judge. I appreciate it. And the thing that people ask me about, and the thing that I think we have to worry about here is what you just said, bringing people together. Right? This is the biggest issue. We are so divided. People just aren't hearing each other. It's terrible.
Intentionally so, too. The other two parties intentionally do this. They're divisive so that, you don't vote for me, but you vote against the other guy. And
yes.
I can tell you, and I think, Larry, you agree with this too, the biggest threat to our country today is this increasing culture of victimization. And it's a trap. It's a trap for the individual. It's a trap for the country, but it's great for politicians. And that's what they're doing. And it's really a terrible thing to see.
Yes. I remember you said something which was so on the money. You were talking about this a while ago. You were saying
you must have been thinking of somebody else who was right on the money, Larry.
Oh, no. It was you, Judge. It was you. I'm sure it was. You said the system is set up now. I'm going to paraphrase. I'd like you to clarify it. The system is set up now to where the government has to do everything to stop you or to fight, because if it either way the government wins. Can you I messed that up. Can you please walk on that road?
The government is really, really good at one thing, and that is increasing the size, the cost, and the power of big government. And so they continue to expend their, I call them tentacles. We don't need a TSA, Larry. That could be done privately. United Airlines is perfectly capable of doing that. And it's, of course, much more expensive, much more intrusive, all of that. You should talk about school choice, where I read in the papers all the time. We're terrible. Our children are not getting a good education. We need the government to spend more money on education. No, that's not true at all. School choice, the public schools are the only commodity that I'm aware of in which the seller dictates to the buyer what they will buy. No, if you allow the parents, empower the parents to choose where their government money is going to be spent for the education of their children, they will choose excellence, just like so many places, Milwaukee, Indiana, Florida, Arizona. That's a huge issue for us, Larry. And I know you're going to carry that banner, and you're going to get a lot of pushback from labor unions and bureaucrats, but you stand up for the children. You stand up for the people. That's what libertarians do. That's why I'm proud to be one.
Yes, absolutely. I remember you said, if I can get it right, that when there's a crisis, the government says, I'm going to do everything I can to protect you. And if you still get hurt, the government goes, well, I did everything I could possibly do. And if you don't get hurt, look, I saved you.
I'm a hero. Sure. Well, that's what pretty much every mayor and governor was doing through this COVID crisis. We'll close down this business. We'll close you down. I'm doing everything I can to help you. And if then you get the COVID virus, well, it wasn't my fault. And if you don't, yes, I'm a hero. Elect me again. It's just
true.
It doesn't work. You have to trust people to make their own decisions. And I tell you, in fact, Thomas Sowell, I spell his name Soul, but the great economist said that, we go crazy if we trust people to make economic decisions when they don't pay a price for making bad ones. That's called bureaucrats. It's called politicians.
Yes, it's a valid point, right? The price, the punishment for failure as a government organization is more money.
That's right. That's always the answer. That's always the answer. There's more money, and it'll go to more pension plans and more government unions and the rest. I got to tell you, and I love police officers. It's a mandate. It's a wonderful profession. Most of them are wonderful, but the police officers' unions are destructive. The school teachers union, I love school teachers, but their unions are destructive. Even Franklin Roosevelt, remember him? Even Franklin Roosevelt was against public employees unions because of what we have seen in the last 20 years.
Well, what's funny is in 2018, the teachers union was actually doing an event where they were going to decide who they were going to endorse. They had an endorsement committee, they had an endorsement event. I went to the event physically. I went to the event and I said, "Can I come in and speak to you?" They went, "No." I said, "But you decided who you're going to endorse." He went, "Yes." I said, "Great. So can't I speak to those people? I'm physically here. Can I go?" They went, "No, you can't." I said, "Okay, look, I'm aware that you're not going to endorse me. Like, I get it. I'm not fooling myself. I don't think I'm going to walk in there and wow you all into endorsing me. But I think if this is your endorsement, your endorsement event, shouldn't you hear a candidate who is here no, literally no.
No, you're swimming uphill or whatever you call it, and not walking uphill. You're swimming uphill.
Yeah,
it's a rigged setup. It's a rigged game. Politicians, like I say, they stack the deck, and money is much too important in all of our elections. There's various ways we can get around that. I like the idea of voting for several people instead of just one. That way, there's so many people that will vote against. There's a trite saying, if you vote for the lesser of two evils, you still get evil. But I didn't want to, like when Gary Johnson and I were running in 2012, or Bill Weld and Gary Johnson in 2016. There were so many people that really wanted them. But, oh no, if I do that, then Trump will win or Hillary Clinton will win. So I've got to vote against the other. But if you can vote for both, then we would probably sweep a lot of states.
I think ranked choice voting would have been exactly what you're talking about, would have really been huge if we had it for the presidential election. Without question, you could have won at least a couple of states, at a minimum, a couple of states. Maybe not the election, maybe, but for sure a couple of states. It just seemed, of course.
Larry Sharpe and Judge Jim Gray could have gone in. We had a plan, as you know, to go into some small states, independently minded states, and then you'd start making progress. You'd start getting good polling numbers. Now it becomes a national story. Oh, wait a minute, look what he's doing in New Hampshire or Vermont or Montana, wherever. Oh, well, who are these people? And you could start a groundswell. And I think we could have really made a difference in that. Joe Jorgensen did fine, but I think we could have done better. But then again, I have to think that way.
Absolutely, yes. But you brought up, and the thing that I've now been talking about, I've been stealing your idea here with the crutch to a ladder plan, the negative income tax idea. UBI is super popular. People are talking about it more and more. I'm not a big UBI fan, but when it comes to negative income tax, it's the best plan is negative income tax. There's no better plan than negative income tax. Can you explain that if you don't mind?
Well, first of all, UBI is not the same thing. UBI is an income for everybody. Bill Gates, you, me. I don't need it. I don't want it. It's too bureaucratic. But no, I stole your two Ellis Islands, by the way, without any shame. And if you take my negative income tax, terrific. But I took it from Milton Friedman. You may have heard of him. And he's a real hero. I don't call it a negative income tax because I don't like the word negative. But, we do have a homeless crisis in our country. And I think it's a tragedy. It's a blight on who we are. But just because I am alive does not mean, Larry, that you owe me anything. It does not at all. But we will because we want to, because we are caring people. So I would take that. and I don't know if we have a couple of minutes. So just for using
Take your time, Judge. Take your time.
For examples, just using numbers for an illustration. Say, if no one in our country will pay any income taxes, will go to a graduated flat tax. No one will pay any income taxes on their first $40,000 of income. For every dollar you earn between $40,000 and $100,000, you'll pay, say, 10 cents to the government. I don't care how you spend your money. The government doesn't need to intrude into your life to see how you spend your money. Then for every dollar between 100 and 500, you'll pay 15 cents to the government. If you're really blessed to make over 500,000, you'll pay, say, 18 of those dollars. End of discussion. Now, what if you make no money? And I don't care if you're lazy, you just lost your job, you want to go back to school. I don't care. If you're over 18 and you're here legally, we will give you a stipend of, say, $20,000. And it'll be broken into 20 monthly payments and probably go into an ATM account. Now, if you're homeless, what's going to happen? If the private sector sees that, hey, you're out there with what, $1,500 or $1,500 in your checking account automatically, we're going to put in together a pretty good room and board facility. So it will take out $1,000 a month or whatever happens to be, and you can automatically have a place to go. Good. Then if you're camping out in the public, no, you have a place to go. Now it's a violation of law to be camping. It's unconstitutional if you don't have a place to go, but now you will. By the way, critically important, and this is again where Milton Friedman shines, for every dollar you earn between $0 and $40,000, you lose 50 cents of your stipend. So you always have an incentive to earn the extra money, and then do away with all of this other welfare stuff, unless you truly have special needs. All the aid to dependent children, all of the food stamps, all of this other bureaucratic, fraudulent nightmare. Get rid of it, and it'll be simplified, and people will have an incentive to get off welfare, which today they do not have.
Right.
In fact, if you're a mother, you have an incentive not to have the father live in your household, because you get more money from the government if you're single parent. And then if the husband lives or the father lives someplace else and he's single too and not making any money, he makes a lot more living apart, the two of them, than they do living together. That's first-rate stupid. Only libertarians seem to understand that, because welfare drives the bus for the Democratic Party, and increasingly the Republicans too.
Yes, I see. Yes.
Other than that, I have no opinion whatsoever.
Other than that, okay, good, perfect. Yes. So I love everything you said, because you started that with one of the hardest things to solve, which is homelessness. You went right to the hard thing, and you said, look, this is a way of solving the hard thing. And if we can solve this thing, the rest is gravy.
Larry, there are so many groups of people that are alienated in our society today.
Yes.
And we've certainly talked about a couple of them. Certainly the homeless. Many of those are mentally ill. It's not a surprise that many of them are Vietnam vets or war veterans. But, we have people. I'm involved in a project now that for felons, what is going on in some of our prisons is a disgusting thing. It was Dostoevsky that wrote, you can tell more about a society by walking into its prisons than you can any other way. And I wonder what Dostoevsky would say about us. So we have a lot of things going on in our prisons. By the way, yes, some felons lie, some inmates lie. Okay, and all of them are factually innocent. I know, I get that. But some of them are telling the truth, and they have no recourse. Some of them are beaten up. Sometimes the prison guards stage fights for their own entertainment or whatever. What's the answer? Because we don't just identify problems in the Libertarian Party. What's the answer? And my view is transparency. Shine a light on what's going on in the prison system. Allow the media, mainstream media, full access to our prisons. They can talk with people, they can interview people, they can look, they can see. And allow the wardens, before you publish anything, to file a response or a disclaimer or whatever else. Consistent, of course, with security. We need to keep our security going. But these are really important things that we simply must do.
I love that idea. I think it's great. Transparency is key. And I feel like only libertarians care about transparency, because whenever the Democrats are in charge, they're against it. When Republicans are in charge, they're against it, right? It's just whoever's in charge is against transparency. But libertarians are always for transparency.
And truly so. And transparency is the answer with regard to all of these things. You were talking earlier about how a law goes through the governor, in New York, and well, it isn't my fault. Yes, it is. But
yeah,
we need the transparency to see these things publicized. I would publicize, have on YouTube all court hearings. I mean, they're public. They should be able to be seen them. All of the Supreme Court hearings. All of the Congress. Now, wait a minute. You don't want to do the Congress because then you can see that there are a lot of people in Congress that aren't there, or they have their feet up on the table, or they're eating lunch, or they're playing video games. They don't want the transparency. That's where libertarians come in and shine.
You just brought up the idea of transparency in the courts. You're a judge. That's amazing.
Well, here's another secret, Larry. A lot of it's really boring. So you're not going to put this on YouTube. You're going to bore people to death. You want to really go through boredom, try to impanel a jury sometime, and it's tedious. But every time, well, I was a judge for 25 years. Every time that the media requested to come in and bring in cameras, I said yes. And rightfully so. Unless you're in juvenile court, sometimes you have to get into confidentiality and that sort of thing. But let me tell you another story. Here in Orange County, O.J. Simpson and all of the criminal trial, I will go so far as to say I would have difficulty being creative and coming up with a way that he had not killed his wife. Okay, but he was not found innocent, by the way. He was found not guilty because it was a woeful prosecution from my standpoint. But then thereafter, numbers of years later, he had a child custody case, and it was here in Orange County. Really good judge sat on this, and as I understand it, because I wasn't there, but all of the experts said O.J. Simpson's children are not afraid of their father, which was a big criterion, and they're not in any danger, which was the other criterion. So the judge kept custody of the two children with O.J. Simpson. But it was all confidential. Nobody knew anything about it until finally this verdict was announced and everybody went crazy. Oh, you're going to keep them with that, But had they seen the evidence, it would have been okay. Because everybody would have seen, oh, that's right. Yeah, well, that's the law. This is what it is. So it's the lack of transparency that causes so many problems. Let me give you a quick, silly example.
Please.
So many problems come, so many conflicts come in our world today because of misunderstandings and misinterpretations, such as, this is in the holiday season, I heard recently that there was this woman all agitated talking to a police officer, pointing to Santa Claus, saying, he called me a hoe 3 times.
That's very good. I like that.
True story, of course. True story, Larry.
Of course it is. Yes, that's good. Yes. He does that every year. It's the sad part, but yes, absolutely. So, I guess why I bring this up is, and I'm going to say one of the reasons why I love you so much is you're a judge and you still want transparency. And a lot of judges fight it. They don't want it, but you don't. You were a judge and you were against the drug war in the 90s when every judge was for the drug war. So often you have been the person who you're not what you're supposed to be. You're not playing the game the right way, Judge. You're being your own person.
Larry, I tell people, I ran for Congress in 1998 as a Republican, and I ran for U.S. Senate in 2004 as a Libertarian, 2012 for Vice President as a Libertarian, and then for the nomination with you in 2020. The world would be a better place had we won. But I tell people with all sincerity, I'm not a politician, and I have the votes to prove it.
There we go. Yes, it's true. I guess I join you in that one too. Yes.
Not in 2024 though. Not in 2022. I mean, you're not going to be able to say that any longer, Mr. Governor.
I hope that's true. Oh my God, I hope that's true. I'm trying my best to make the changes here, Judge, and I'm trying to make a coalition. To your point, bring people together. Right? Fighting here is what everyone's doing already, and if we just keep fighting, we just make things worse. We don't fix anything. We have to,
Larry, and you know this, but every voter that goes in, I used to say into the polling booth, but now I guess that puts their letter in the mail, has one question on their mind when they're voting. Everyone, what's in it for me?
Yes.
Now, that sounds cynical, but it's not true. How is this going to put more rice in my bowl? How is this going to get my children educated? It could be world peace. It could be the lack of, but everybody. So you have to find out what their issues are and show them how a vote for Governor Larry Sharp will help them with that issue. Now, you have to be transparent, and you don't want to be a hypocrite. That's why I asked you to run with me as my vice presidential candidate, because I know you're a straight shooter, you're a patriot, you have a background, you have a great story. There's no skeletons in the closet that I know of, but you will
I pulled them out already.
There you. Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. But at least those skeletons are gone. But they were clean. Right. Nonetheless, we as libertarians, and we've made a huge mistake, in my view. Over the past decades, we've allowed other people to label us, and we come out as, no government at all, and survival of the fittest, and greed is good. Thank you, Ayn Rand. But that sort of thing, and it's just not true. We're caring people, but we believe that individuals can make better decisions for us than the government can. Or if it's going to be by the government, it's the smallest government that's around. That's concept of federalism. Republicans, Democrats don't go into that. Concept of federalism in the Constitution says that the states will have all of the rights, or the people will have the rights, unless they're delineated in the Constitution. And we've gotten so far. You can go through the Constitution for the rest of time. You'll never find the word medicine in there, medical, doctors. You'll never find the word education in there. It's not their purview. It is not, but they've usurped it.
And the funny thing is, when I talk to people about this, I was talking to Maj Toure several hours ago, and he was talking about the Second Amendment. And he said, he doesn't talk about the Constitution first. He talks about de-escalation of violence first, what matters in the community first, and eventually it comes out to the Second Amendment. But he starts where they are, right? Where people are in the inner city, in the urban areas. They're worried about violence. How do we quell that? And then it gets to Second Amendment down the road, right? That's how he deals with that. And I think what you're saying is the same thing, right? Which is, yes, the Constitution is saying, local, 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 but we have to talk local first. And then when people get it, what I bring up in New York State all the time is New York State is a massively diverse state. I mean, we have counties in New York State that have 2.3 million people in it, and a county that has 4,000 people in it. That's how diverse the state is, right? We have mountains and rivers, and California is similar, right? Massive differences in the counties and such, very different. So I say, we talk about diversity all the time. Diversity. I agree. I love diversity. Awesome. Then why do we have one size fits all coming out of Albany for the entire state? Why aren't we letting each state be itself? Let's respect diversity. And let's let each county be its own county. Let's let local cities and counties have much more control to find right answer for themselves. I think that's where I'm going. I think that then goes back to the Constitution.
Well, it does. And we certainly need government. We need a federal government. We need state, local government. We also need individual responsibility. And liberty and responsibility have to go hand in hand. And people 100%. Don't understand that. But we need governments to enforce our laws, our warranties, our contracts, keep me from taking you or hitting you and taking your stuff, all that sort of stuff. But what people do not understand, Larry, you do, is that the criminal justice system is designed for and really effective at protecting us from each other. Really good at that. It is not designed for and is woeful at protecting us from ourselves. It just doesn't work. Right. So we get into the war on drugs, you get into sexual partnerships and that sort of thing. And, I don't want men to cheat on their wives or wives to cheat on their husbands, but you can't enforce that by law. There are other moralities and other things that can happen. So protect us from each other. That's where the criminal justice system enters. Protect me from myself. Keep me from drinking too much Coca-Cola or taking heroin or whatever. But if I drive a motor vehicle too fast, now I'm putting your safety at risk. Legitimate criminal justice issue. But that's our country has not realized that difference yet, particularly with the war on drugs or prostitution either, for that matter.
But you said something else. I'm trying to remember the phrase. I make this off. I think you said jail is for people we're afraid of, not for people we don't like. Did I get it right?
Something like that. We had a guy here in LA County who was a very conservative member of the legislature, and he used I can't remember. I don't want to say a name because I'll probably get it wrong, but he used to vote in favor of more and more criminal sentences and higher criminal sentences and the rest until he was himself convicted of a voter fraud and was sent to prison for 2 years. And he came out speaking much differently. He said then, there are too many people in prison that should not be there. We should reserve our prison space for people we're afraid of, not people we're mad at.
We're mad at. Thank you. That's what it is. Mad at. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for correcting me. So now people we don't like, people we're mad at. There we go. Yes. I love that. That when I think about that, I think that's how we should be looking at our laws, right? That's what our prison system should be about. You're right. Yes. This guy or gal might hurt somebody.
In fact, let's take it a step farther. And people some will misunderstand this. Some of them will misunderstand it intentionally. I understand that. We should do away with all of our laws about what am I thinking of? For one race instead of another, or for
hate crimes.
Hate crimes. We should do away with all hate crimes. Why? Because an assault is an assault. And if they assault you and you're convicted of that, then because you happen to be religious or non-religious or homophobia or whatever, bring that up in time of sentencing. But otherwise it's divisive. Oh, your ethnic background, your religious background is more important than mine? No, and then you divide people yet again. And of course the political parties are doing that. Oh, you're oppressed because of your heritage or your whatever else. No, bring it back to just an assault is an assault. And a rape is a rape, or whatever it happens to be, and then you bring it up at time of sentencing because you happen to be Chicano and they chained you to a car, whatever. Because those are horrendous things, but they're horrendous regardless of who does it to whom.
But this goes back to what you talked about earlier. You talked about the idea of victimhood, right, and that mentality. And I think the piece that really strikes me with that is the image is that victimhood is only for the left. But I think the right has it too now. I think everybody is starting to come up with this idea of I'm being oppressed, I'm the victim, therefore, and this is my issue, right? And I bring this up with 9/11. There's a difference between being a victim and a hero. And we've merged the two recently into one. Because you are a victim and you survived, you are by default a hero and not the same. What I mean by that is if you look at 9/11, about 3,000 people died 9/11. Most of them were victims, terrible victims, didn't deserve it, horrible shouldn't have happened. There's a separate group of people who ran into those buildings. Those are heroes, right? The people who ran the building, those are heroes. The people who died are victims. None of them should have died, and it's all horrible and tragic. I'm just saying there's a difference in those two, and we have decided that they're all heroes. They're not all heroes.
No. Larry, Winston Churchill said something similar to what you are, saying that fear is a reaction, courage is a decision. And that's what you just said there. People knew they were going to run into the building. Hey, this could be really dangerous. They did it volitionally. They're heroes.
Yes, absolutely, right? The hero is someone, the victim is someone where the thing happens to them. The hero is someone that happens to them and they still do something. Right? They still do the thing, whatever that thing is. Yes. And I think that's a problem.
The purpose of what we're doing here is to raise money for Larry Sharpe for governor. I have been donating to you every month just on automatic basis.
Thank you,
Not
sir.
very much, but then I've donated some other money to you, and I will before this is all over again. But please, people who are watching this is a really good man. He tells it like it is. He's not getting anything out of this except he's a patriot. He wants the best thing for everybody in our country and around the world. And I support him. I asked him if he would run with me as my running mate when I was seeking the Libertarian nomination for president. It was not an accident. And by the way, this is kind of silly, but it only occurred to me 2 weeks thereafter, Larry, that, hey, you're African-American. I didn't even think about that, which I'm proud of. You're the best person for the job. Had you been female and a lesbian, I probably still, it doesn't matter. But that's the way Larry Sharpe is. He deserves to be supported. No, we are supporting ourselves by supporting Larry Sharpe. So please join me in supporting him. Talk about people. I talk to people about him. Donate, of course, because money is too important. But please shell out some money, particularly before the end of the year, like he says, because you're rated by your ratings, and the ratings come from your publicity, and your publicity comes from how much money you raise, and it's a vicious circle. We need to support this man.
Thank you so much, Judge. I appreciate every word so much. And yes, I wish it wasn't true. I wish it was only upon my ideas and that's all that mattered. That would be amazing. It's just not true. The reality of it is money counts so much. It absolutely does. Yes, absolutely.
It brings legitimacy, and it's a vote. You know, if you pay $1,000 to some person running for a campaign, that's a vote. But by the way, you know, if I were Bill Gates, I could spend an unlimited amount of money on my own candidacy. So I think that should be disclosed, but I should be able, I think, to spend an unlimited amount on yours too. And then if your opponent feels that, hey, you're in my pocket because I gave you money, vote for somebody else. But just be transparent. Bill Gates will always be able to get as much money as he wants into the candidates' coffers, you know, through a PAC, through a something. Let's do away with all this illusion stuff and just be transparent about all of this stuff.
I completely agree. I wish I'm, of course, right? People will always say though, but Larry, then the richest guy would win. I would say, well, why don't you ask President Bloomberg? Oh, you can't. Because it doesn't always work that way, right?
That's
Bloomberg had more money than anybody. If what if what they're saying is true, we'd have President Bloomberg now, right? That's what would happen.
That's right.
Absolutely.
By the way, Larry,
go ahead.
I tell silly little jokes sometimes in my mediations. I'm doing private judging now, and one attorney said, "Well, I've got one for you that I'll pass along with your thousands of listeners here. What is the name of the knight who designed King Arthur's Round Table?" This is a little off the subject, I agree, but what is the name of the knight who designed King Arthur's Round Table? And the answer is circumference.
Okay, yes, I guess that would work.
I'm not invited to many talk shows, Larry. Now you know why. In fact, I use them in my mediations. I keep telling these jokes, and people settle their cases faster, so they won't have to keep hearing them.
That is a way. Chris says, came for a Judge Gray story, stayed for a Judge Gray joke. See, Chris does still know it. I love that. It's all good. Yes. Well, Judge, I want to say thank you so much for coming. I appreciate all the time you gave me. I do consider you a mentor. Thank you. I remember the things you told me. I still use them. I've stolen your NIT now. And now I'm going to remember jails for people who we're afraid of, not mad at. So I'm going to say it right from now on. So yes, I appreciate that also. It's so good. Is there anything that you want to say before we wrap this up?
Bless you for what you're doing, Larry. You know, you are a patriot, and I'm proud to know you, and I'm proud to support you. And I know all other people watching this show feel exactly the same way. Go get them.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Have a good one. So you heard the Honorable Judge Jim Gray. I love that man. He was my first vote in 2012, right? I love that he's able to come on, and those of you who know him, able to hear what he has to say. He is a very exceptional judge. I mean, just exceptional. So happy that he's in my world. I'm so happy you were able to chat with him and to see what he's talking about. So look, the reality of this is, guys, 4 people, 4 hours, different people. I hope it made sense. I hope you enjoyed what we were talking about. I hope you enjoyed the comments and the discussion. I hope you did. Do me a favor. Like, share, and comment on this so that other people see this. And to the best of your ability, give what you can give. It does matter. Every piece that I can get, every little bit that I can get is going to count towards my quarterly push. And Larry, will you be doing this again in March? Yes, in March, I'll be doing this again because March will be the end of that quarter. So I'll be doing it again in March, and I'll be doing it again in June. So every 3 months, you're going to see me start doing these things, hooping and hollering, because that's when it's going to count. That's when people are going to look at it and say, hey, is this guy valid? Does it matter? They're going to do that. So please help out to the best of your ability. It does matter tremendously. Shelly says, go to YouTube and subscribe. That also counts. Thank you, Shelly. You're the best. That also counts. Absolutely. If you can do it, absolutely. So yes. All righty. Let's see if I can keep going down here. Let's see. Brian says, how is my actions that put others at risk against the law? Until there is harm, is there really a crime? My action put another at risk, but ultimately there's no harm to another. How can that be a crime? Well, this is a good point, Brian. I think people do think about this, right? And what I would say is, and this is definitely judged, right? So it's not black and white here. Is your action or are your actions threatening? And that's gray. To be forward, that's not black and white. Are they threatening? For example, if you have a loaded gun in your hand, finger on a trigger, and you're swaying it around, right? Did you harm anybody? No. But is it threatening? Yeah, that's threatening, right? That's a more obvious one, right? If you got a gun in your hand, you're shaking it, pointing around at people. I didn't pull the trigger. So is there a crime? I would argue in that specific case, yeah. If you're shaking a gun at me and pointing at me, that's a crime in my eyes, right? Now, you could disagree. There could be gray area, but that is when you would say it's a crime. If there is a threat to somebody to where they feel threatened or something like that. So I think that's when your actions would be against the law. Again, that is a gray area. It's absolutely not crystal clear, but I do think it is. So, in any case, I hope that was clear answering your question. So let me see if I can grab a couple more of those if I can. Let's see here. Okay, hold on. Oh, that's for someone else, not for me. Sorry. Sam says, if more people like Judge Jim Gray and Larry Sharpe were at the top of the LP, we'd be the #1 party in the country. Oh, thank you, Sam. Common sense plus compassion. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that very much. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Yes. All right. Let's see if I can do this here. Brandon says, in my early 20s, I don't even make 40K. I bet, and I pay taxes on, say, my 30K now. You know, the idea that the judge had is a good idea. Is the number 40K the right number? I don't know. Maybe the number is 30. Maybe it's 20. I'm not sure. I don't think, in my view, if we go down this road, and I feel like we're going to, I feel like the world's going toward the country's going towards UBI. If we're going to go down this road, I think the negative income tax is the best road of all of these types. I don't see a better road than this. I'm open, Brandon, if you think of a better road. My mind is way open to hearing something better. I haven't heard anything better. So that's where my head is now. I'm open to better. My worry is if we don't do something like what the judge is talking about, we're going to go to full-on UBI. And that's going to be a bad idea, right? That's going to be a bad idea. So I'm hoping this is the best answer. Maybe the number's less. Maybe it's 20. Maybe it's 30. I'm not sure. Maybe it's by state or by zip code. I'm unsure there either. I don't really know what the right answer is in this regard. But I think the concept is a good one, that you could work your way off, but you don't want to make it to where you are comfortably living. You should be surviving, right? Not destitute, but surviving, whatever that number is. Maybe the number is 30,000. I don't know what the number is, but whatever that number is, you are surviving. You want to have an incentive to go make more money. And that's the point. You want to have an incentive to go make more. So I don't know if 40 is the number, to be forward with you. It might be, but I think we have to do some more homework on that and decide that. So yes. My question was directed to the judge who said that speeding and driving on the influence just matters. It's a good question. I was talking to someone about this earlier this week, and we were talking about speeding as an example. And I was saying at one point, isn't it threatening? At one point, right? If you're driving an 18-wheeler at 120 miles an hour, can they go that fast? For the sake of argument, they can. If you're driving that kind of machine at 120 miles an hour, is that dangerous enough for someone to say that's a threat? I think it's gray. I could see an argument at a certain speed, a certain type of vehicle could be considered a threat. I could see an argument for it, and I could see an argument not for it. I could see an argument either way. I think it's a gray area, Brian, and it's one that I don't focus much on because, in my view, as Chrissie was asking, it's not the biggest issue in the world right now. It's something I don't focus on. But if you're looking at it from a purely theoretical point of view, I think an argument could be made that at a certain point, it's a threat. I don't know when that point is, right? Is it 20 miles over the speed limit? 50? Is it size of the vehicle? Who else is in the vehicle? Maybe if you have someone else in the vehicle, is that the issue? Maybe. But my point is, I think there is absolutely an argument in a gray area for where that is. I think you could do that. So hope that answers your question. Chip says, Franklin said, make no man comfortable in poverty. Yes, that's what I'm saying. We want them to just be surviving, right? That's just surviving. I don't want somebody starving to death. That would be a problem because that would only bad things would happen from that. So you'd want to make it to where, that's an issue. Shelley says it's also illegal to brandish a weapon. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. And that's my point, right? If I've got my weapon out and I'm pointing at people, that's a threat. To me, that's obvious, right? The speeding part to me isn't as obvious, but I think there is an argument for it. The gun part to me is, people would argue, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it. I see you got a weapon out and you're pointing around. That's a threat. That's how I see it, but maybe I'm wrong. So I hope that was clear. Guys, what I want you to do is two things, if you would. Number one, like, comment, and share. It does matter. Please, the best of your ability, go ahead and do that. Let people know that I am here, that I'm doing this, that it matters. To the best of your ability, please do that. Second, to the best of your ability, give what you can give today or tomorrow or by the 31st. Every bit counts. The more I raise, the more goes into my account by December 31st, the more comes out of my report. And you will see, it is public knowledge. You will see all of the money that is raised. You will see all where I spend it. It is public. You will see it all. If you can do it, it will help tremendously. I really hope that you guys can do that. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for giving. Those of you who gave, those who gave earlier, thank you still. I will see you all very soon.